AP, are we ready?
Court reporter from CRC Salomon is here, sir.
Thank you. I'm asking our.
Chairman Fadden, we are ready to go live.
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome.
All right, so folks, we're making some adjustments. That's why things have shifted in the space. Hearing just a little feedback. What we're going to ask is for folks who are virtual to please make sure that you are muted and off camera. Unless you are the CEO's designee or the CEO or her team. So we'll make that a little clearer in just a moment. But good evening. I'm Ronald McFadden, and I have the humble pleasure of serving as chair of the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners. And we welcome you all to our February 27th public board meeting of the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners. If you have not done so, please mute your phone. Anyone who does not mute their phone may be muted by the call moderator or removed from the call. Additionally, if you are not a board member or the CEO and her staff, please turn your video off. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Vice Chair Roberts.
Vice Chair Roberts, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Coy, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Lawson.
Commissioner Lawson, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Muhammad.
Commissioner Mohammed, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Sally.
Commissioner Sally, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, present.
Good evening to you. I am also present. There's 9 present with 1 absent. Is there a motion to reopen the meeting?
So moved, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Is there a second?
Second, Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yes.
Commissioner Law. Thank you, Commissioner Lawson.
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad.
Yes.
Commissioner Sally.
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm in favor. That motion passes unanimously.
Yeah. And the wall is better than. The wall
It sounds great in there, right?
Alan is also was asking if the mics were on.
Why?
I don't know. That's not about this.
We wanted to illuminate the light. Don't leave yet. We've got to celebrate the students that are here from the Reach Park. Can we give them all another round of applause? Please make more noise than that for our young people, our students, our scholars.
You are
You all literally could be anywhere else besides the school board meeting. So we appreciate your support, your service, and your incredible talent. So from the Reach Partnership School, of course, under the direction of Mr. Brandon Booth, we have connections. Connections. Mr. Brandon Booth, the Connections Choir.
We have no problem.
We have Samari Willis. Where's Samari? When I call, just wave. All right. So we have Malaya Hall, Isabella McLean, Shamar Gilliam, Jameer Johnson Crichton. Crichton or Creighton? Creighton. Kenyelle Jessup. Sanye Linton. Demaya Taylor. Amira Pearson, Milton Jackson, is that correct? Marlon Lara Patillo, got you, Lachey Ellis, Tayana Smith, Imani Morton, Jeremiah Hilton, Gabrielle Carr. Did I miss anyone, Mr. Booth? Give them another round of applause. Then we have our cadets. I'm going to ask the folks that, thank you, our cadets from the Reach Partnership High School. We have Cadet Commander Evelyn Anzores, correct? Cadet Staff Sergeant Rashad Smallwood. Cadet Sergeant Major Forrest Spriggs. Cadet Staff Sergeant Justin Herrera. Cadet Second Lieutenant Camille Brown. Let's give these young people, all of them, another round of applause. Awesome. Thank you. So we are a little bit, of course, we're configured differently. There are some upgrades in this space. So thank you all for your flexibility and your patience this evening. As you will continue to see some upgrades in this space, even to the commissioners, this will not be the permanent fixture of everything, but thank you to the team who's working tirelessly on this project. We'll now have observe a moment.
I would like to take the time to recognize the passing of a city schools employee. This individual is committed to supporting her students through her work. The Greater Schools community will fondly remember this employee, and tonight we send our deepest condolences to the employee's family and friends. It is with deep regret we inform you of the passing of Christina Atienza. Ms. Atienza started her career at City Schools on October 3rd, 2022, where she served the staff and students for 1 year and 4 months at Claremont High as a teacher in special education. Ms. Atienza unfortunately departed on February 19th, 2024, and will be missed by her family, friends, and City Schools. Please join me in a moment of silence.
Oh, so it's just directing.
failed hand gestures. So, yes, yes. No, that's good. So these microphones, they same microphones, you just have to add it to. I'm kind of bouncing back from the signal code that it's not really making. You see now I control it. It's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm surprised we didn't have that.
Is there a motion to approve the prior open minutes?
So move, Roberts.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington. I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the closed session summaries?
So move, Roberts.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Sally.
Thank you. All in favor? Vice Chair Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Tonight is a very exciting night because we get to celebrate some students. Are there students in the room who we're celebrating tonight?
I hear
I hear some voices there. Are there any students we're celebrating tonight?
There's
It's a high schooler. Yep. I'm gonna call you out. I'm getting ready to celebrate you in just one moment. We got some good information on you, and so we're really excited for this moment to celebrate our scholars, superstars. But tonight, of course, is the 27th of February, and we have a few days left in this month. And as we this is. Thank you. So if you are joining us virtually, please remain muted unless you are presenting or unless you are speaking during public comment and testimony. So it feels great to be back in person, as we were not here at our last meeting. We were not together in our last meeting. It was virtual, as there are some technical upgrades being made to this particular boardroom. As leaders of the district, it is important for us to maintain an inclusive and accessible space for board meetings. These upgrades will help minimize audio and video delays in the boardroom so that our meetings can continue to flow smoothly. Also excited to announce that last week, the district launched a new form for which sharing feedback can be made on board policies. We're looking for that process to be done a little bit easier, more easily. And so aside from public comment during board meetings, you can now voice your opinion with the click of a button by using the new board policy feedback form. This is on our website. The feedback form allows you to submit feedback on policies currently under review, adding input to help commissioners make inclusive decisions on policy reform. Anyone can use the form, from students, staff, or community members. To submit feedback, open the form, select a policy under review, type in your feedback and contact information, and then hit submit. Submissions will be reviewed by district staff and other subject matter experts. To learn more, please visit the board policies webpage on the City Schools website. Another opportunity to share feedback on policy reform will occur next month during the board's Student Board Forum. This forum will be held on Wednesday, March 6th from 4 o'clock to 6:30 p.m. here at the district office. The Student Board Forum is an opportunity for students to have face-to-face conversations with the school board about policy reform, your school experience, school safety, and more. We will take a deep dive into the policy development process, allowing our students to hear from district personnel about the action steps needed to improve our policies. We will also openly discuss policies currently under review and how students can get involved in the process before it is too late. But certainly, just because student voice is critically important, and we need you all as active participants in the process. To register for this student board forum, please visit the board meetings webpage on the City Schools website. Finally, drum roll please, I want to focus time on our exceptional Baltimore City Public Schools Scholar Superstars. So last time, we honored two extraordinary students, one from New Song Academy and the other from City Neighbors High School. You can learn more about them on the City Schools Scholar Superstar webpage. This month, we have two new awardees that we're celebrating from two different city schools. Our first awardee is Colby Jackson. Where's Colby? Come on up, Colby. Kobe, come on up. You got family, you got friends, you got teachers, who's your village? Come on up, Kobe. They're coming with you. Yes, come on up, Kobe. We're celebrating Kobe. Come on, let's give Kobe another round of applause. Woo! Kobe, we're proud of you. Kobe is a beloved first grader at Arundel Elementary School in South Baltimore. Kobe is, you can stay right there, yeah, or sit at the seat right there too, yeah. Kobe is the definition. Oh, we've got a big patient, Kobe. We need you up front. It's your moment. This is your moment. Kobe, you knew you were being celebrated tonight. You knew we were coming to talk about you tonight. We're proud of you. Kobe is a definition of a kind friend. She goes above and beyond to be a peacemaker in the classroom and often reminds her peers of class expectations. That's a big deal. Kobe is a special education student who strives. That means you're exceptional. You're a multi-exceptional young person who strives daily for academic and behavioral excellence. To learn more about Kobe, here we go. To learn more about Kobe and personally congratulate her for her accomplishments, the communications office visited Kobe at Arundel Elementary School to capture this amazing video.
I'm so excited to be the superstar.
So that would be the best. This would be a perfect example of a squad recent at this.
That's something that I mean, really need a conversation with them about. Was just the lines of the file was it's nice as a backup.
As a backup. Yes.
Yeah. So
a message about network speed and then the directive of TSS, which is
send me a message.
So while we're waiting for this to come up, are you Mom? Mom, tell us a little bit about Kobe, if you don't mind. Turn the mic towards you and just give a few words about Kobe and why she's such an exceptional young person. Make sure that's green. Yep, there you go.
I don't know where to begin. This girl, there aren't any words to describe her personality, just what she brings when she walks into a room. It's like a light, and it shines over everyone. Anyone she comes across, she affects in a positive way, of course. I'm very proud of you, Kobe. And I don't know if this is a new award. I've received every award coming up as a kid. I've never heard of this award, and I'm like, wow, I'm so proud of you, Kobe. You've really done something. And yeah, just keep up the good work.
The camera turned back on.
Kobe, your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, are we ready for the video, or are we ready for it? No, we're not. It's not going to play. Kobe, is there anything you want to share with us? Are you sure? Okay. Well, we've got something for you. Absolutely.
Kobe, from the little bit of the video, it sounds like you like math. Is that true? Are you really good at math? I could tell. So I am thrilled that you are a superstar of the month. I don't know if we've had a superstar of the month that likes mathematics. So we are thrilled that you are here. Good to see you. Now we get to celebrate. You go ahead, Chair Macbeth.
No, so we're all going to enjoy. We want to ask you to come. Can you take a picture with us? We got to document this in history because you're going to change the world. So we've got to be a part of your story. That on February 27th, Kobe came to take a picture with us. And we were so honored that she came to take a picture with us because she's so famous. So we're going to take a photo, but we also have two things for you, including now, is there anyone from Arundel, from the school? So, so tell us why you nominated Kobe. You can come on over too, or grab one of those mics if we don't mind, so you don't have to come all the way over. So, traveling a lot.
As Mom said, Colby just lights up a room when she walks in. She is one of the most kind-hearted students I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. On top of that, she's the hardest worker. If she doesn't know something, she makes it her mission to get it done. And she just really is such a kind, helping friend, the most generous student with her time. Anytime another student needs help, she's the first to jump up and help them with kind words, encouraging, positivity. It's just such a pleasure to be her teacher.
Principal Machado. Machado. Yes. Tell us about your incredible young person.
Good evening, everyone. So I just want to echo what Mrs. Long shared about Kobe, but it's just a pleasure to see how you have grown over the last few years. And it's just a pleasure being the principal of Arundel Elementary and having students like Kobe. I'm so proud of you.
Awesome. So now I think we are able. Now let's take a look at this video. So I think we have to unmute Lashana for us to hear it. We don't have any volume yet. So we can't hear anything. So it's, I think Lashana's device or whatever's playing that says Lashana at the bottom, that needs to be unmuted. Getting it ready to get ready. There we go. Unmute that again, Lashana. Whatever you all just did it.
I'm so excited to be the superstar.
Nope, that's not it. So we're going to, you can turn that off. We'll just skip the video, unfortunately, tonight, because we just can't get it to work. But we're proud of you, Kobe. We're very proud of you. And this is going to be showcased on our website, and it will be available on YouTube as well, so that we can continue to celebrate you and mark this moment in history. Our second awardee tonight is Maha Saleh. Come on up, Maha. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah. I'll have a seat right there. And so Maha is an exceptional 12th grader. Somebody said a graduating senior. The Academy for College and Career Exploration, ACE, that is in North Baltimore. Maha is a trailblazer, an advocate for her peers. She is the founder of ACE's National Honor Society chapter, an SGA member, and a part of Northrop Grumman's High School Involvement Partnership Mentoring Program. That's a mouthful. Outside of the school, Maha participated in a NIH summer internship where she did novel research on the vascular system. To learn more about Maha, we want to play the video, but since it's not working today, Maha, talk to us a little bit about, particularly, I'm interested in your NIH summer internship. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, first, thank you so much. My NHS internship was my first exposed to research, which I'm really interested in. It was great time to like it was a great thing to spend my summer doing. I'm sorry. I'm interested in research and I'm going to Johns Hopkins next year for biomedical engineering. So it was kind of a great opportunity, like as an exposure to what I want to do in the future.
That's incredible. Now, who's with you tonight?
Miss Walsh, she's my college counselor.
Now, did you nominate her?
I did. I did.
Okay, talk to us a little bit. Why did you nominate Maha?
Well, Maha is probably the most modest person that I have ever met in my entire life, while simultaneously being one of the most impressive young people. She moved here from another country after surviving a lot of crazy things, and she has just taken it in stride. She learned English just in the last 5 years, and you would have no idea from speaking to her. Every single time I have an opportunity, she's always the first one to jump on it, and that's why she has all of these amazing things on her resume. And she says she's going to Johns Hopkins next year, but she's actually going to Johns Hopkins next year on a full ride. Woo! Woo! To be a part of the biomedical engineering program, which is harder to get into than any Ivy League school. So we are all really proud of her at Ames. I will say, Maha, when I saw you, I was like, I think I know her from somewhere. I think she's famous. And that's where it was. I saw you in one of the Johns Hopkins promotions about some of their incoming scholars, and you were in that picture. So I just want you to know you're already famous.
Colleagues, does anyone have anything to share for Maha? Words of encouragement, congratulations.
Well, Maha, you have, oh, I'm sorry. Did you want
Go ahead.
You are on the precipice of completing high school, which is, it feels like a completion, but it's just the start of a new and exciting life. I encourage you to take every opportunity that you have, as your teacher has indicated that you do, and just learn and live and enjoy. Be courageous, take chances, calculated risk. But keep on keeping on. You are a marvelous student, and I can't wait to see how you impact the world.
I like to keep it short, but congratulations and go class of 2024.
Oh, it's that time, isn't it? We're about 3.5 months away. And we're all pretty excited for all of our scholars. And speaking of that, I'm sure the CEO mentioned tonight, we had a huge celebration on Saturday for our winter graduates, and Commissioner Sally attended. And so we're very excited for the class of 2024 and the leaders that you are and the way that you'll continue to lead our world into the future. So congratulations. We also have something for you. I don't know what the easiest way to do it tonight is, because it's going to take all of us moving back up to the front, but we got to capture this moment, because absolutely you are worth every moment. All right, so Maha, if you don't mind coming up, we're going to get a picture, a photo with you. More staff from the school, come on over. Let's move up front. Right.
You might get stuck. I know.
Congratulations to both Kobe and Maha. Again, we are very proud of you. Is there a motion to approve item 3.02, 3.03, 3.04, 3.05, and 3.07, personnel, employment and payroll, and our quasi judicial matters?
So moved.
Item 3.01 is the personnel, and then the others are the quasi judicial matters. I'll take that as a motion. Commissioner Slater Harrington, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sally. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
And I'm in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Santelises for Chief Executive Officer comments.
Thank you, Chair McFadden. And it is my pleasure to introduce, or to welcome, I should say, Chief Emily Nielsen of Human Capital for this evening's PEP agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises, and good evening, commissioners. We have a short PEP tonight, 2 appointments from the Office of the Chief of Schools. And I know we have one of these candidates present, and I think the other might be online. So if you can stand when I read your name or come on camera so we can recognize you. The first appointment is recommended that Luis Espinosa, currently Manager of School Improvement and Support at the Maryland State Department of Education, be appointed Principal at the Academy for College and Career Exploration effective March 6th, 2024. And the second is recommended that Kathy O'Neill, currently interim principal at Medfield Heights, be appointed principal at Medfield Heights effective February 28th, 2024. Congratulations to both of our new principals.
Thank you very much, Chief Nielsen, and congratulations again. As has become our practice, I'll read just a little bit more of each of our principal appointments this evening. Kathy O'Neill has spent her 21-year career in city schools at Dallas F. Nicholas Senior Elementary and Medfield Heights Elementary. She served as an assistant principal at Medfield Heights for the last 10 years and interim principal for the past 6 months. I also had the opportunity to do a wonderful tour visit with Ms. O'Neill when she was interim, and had a wonderful visit, and you could tell she was really part of the school community. Previously, Ms. O'Neill served as a kindergarten, first grade, second grade general educator, a reading intervention teacher, a special educator, and an IEP chair. She holds a bachelor's degree in early childhood education from the University of Scranton and a master's degree as a reading specialist from Loyola University. Congratulations, Principal O'Neill. And that, And then next we have Luis Espinosa, who is returning to city schools from the Maryland State Department of Education. Yes, we know it's better over here, where he served as the manager of school improvement and supports. Previously, Principal Espinoza was an assistant principal at Lakeland Elementary Middle School and the Academy for College and Career Exploration, and was formerly principal of Banneker Blake STEM Academy. Mr. Espinoza began his career at City Schools as a secondary social studies teacher through the Teach for America program. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of California of Davis and a master's in arts and teaching from Johns Hopkins University. It's good to see you, Principal Espinoza. You came here also for Maha and the whole ACE team. So we are thrilled to see. Now, is that your baby? Yeah. Oh, that's an adorable baby. Oh, what? Okay, so we have mom. So then mom has to wave too. There we go. There we go. Congratulations to you, Principal Espinoza, the whole family. And if the board, if the board allows me in the middle of the meeting, I'll babysit for you. You got it? You got it? You're out of here? Okay, good. Congratulations, everyone. As Board Chair McFadden noted at our last meeting, I would like to begin this evening by congratulating our Board of School Commissioners on being named the National School Boards Association Silver winner of the prestigious Magna Awards for 2024. The Magna Award recognizes programs that reflect and support the school board's commitment to the equity mission and vision for the district by seeking to remove barriers to student achievement based on race, gender, special needs, or socioeconomic status. City Schools' submission under the leadership of Vice Chair Roberts described the 21st Century Buildings Program from its inception to successful implementation, positioning it as a comprehensive program to resolve an undeniable issue of educational equity. The presentation emphasized that the program's success was due in large part to the activism of Baltimore City community groups and City Schools families led by the American Civil Liberties Union of Maryland and the Baltimore Education Coalition. The 21st Century program is a shining example of what can be accomplished when elected officials, the school board, district, community activists, and thousands of families work together in support of our young people. The 21st Century Buildings Program will be featured in the April issue of the American School Board Journal. To coincide with the presentation of the Silver Magna Award at NSBA's annual conference for New Orleans. Special thanks to Vice Chair Roberts for her hard work in achieving this recognition for the district, and congratulations to every member of the 21st Century Buildings team, past and present, whose professionalism and expertise over the course of more than a decade have made this remarkable achievement possible. So thank you again, Chair Roberts, and congratulations, City Schools. Go Operations. I would also now like to provide an update about the early release offer of letters for the school year 25 middle and high school choice placements. I am very pleased to share that offer letters were released to more than 5,100 families on February 19th, nearly 4 weeks earlier than in previous years, achieving our goal of transforming the system and process for school choice nominations. I want to congratulate the team in Enrollment Choice and Transfer who partnered with the Office of Information Technology And I do want to say that when I first said we need to be able to get out our responses, to put it bluntly, before the private and parochial schools did, they looked at me askance like I was crazy. But then, as high quality teams do, they turned it around and they delivered. While we did encounter a technical glitch that impacted less than 200 students, the teams at ECT, OIT, and Vanguard worked quickly to resolve these issues and sent corrected offer letters to families who had created student enrollment management systems portal accounts. We understand that choosing the right school for your student is an exciting but sometimes stressful process. I know this as a mother of two people who went through this process, and we apologize for any inconvenience caused by this temporary issue. And given the amazing lift that we had to make across not one school, but an entire district, I will say the turnaround time for the correction, the limited, and I want to say limited because there were some rumors that it was widespread, the limited number of corrections that were needed were made within a more than reasonable period. Families will be able to accept or decline their seat offers starting tomorrow in SEMS and will have until Monday, March 25th to respond. Beginning Monday, March 4th, applications will be available in SEMS for families wishing to participate in round 2 of the middle and high school choice process. Thank you to our students and families for your patience, and special appreciation again to the staff who worked so hard to give them as much time as possible to make this important decision. Families with concern about potential errors in placement or any other questions can contact our ECT team at enrollment@bcps.k12.md.us. Again, thank you, everybody. And then finally, I am very pleased to announce the successful ratification of the 2023 through 2026 teacher chapter contract by the membership of the Baltimore Teachers Union. The agreement, thank you. Look at Madam President is here. Good to see you, ma'am. The agreement, pending approval by the Board of School Commissioners, means city schools will continue to provide salaries that are among the most competitive in the state and demonstrates our true appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and commitment to our young people and their success. If you wondered whether this was an impactful contract, I got 2 calls from colleagues who shall remain nameless who said, oh, okay, so you got us on this one. So that means we are able to actually compete with the best districts in the state for teachers. And I am thrilled and thankful for all of our Baltimore City Public School teachers. And I want to thank again President Brown and the BTU for your partnership on this issue. And so Chair, I will turn it back to you. This concludes my remarks for the evening.
Dr. Santelises. I will now review the consent agenda. Board colleagues, please let me know if you would like an item removed. Please state your question for staff. Give me a second, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I'm pulling item 9.08. For a presentation. Item 9.01, 21st Century Annual Report. Item 9.02, Baltimore Curriculum Project Loan Request. Item 9.03, FKA waiver request, Baltimore Curriculum Project at Hampstead Hill Academy. Item 9.04, supplemental appropriation, Northwestern, formerly Garrison Swing Space. Item 9.05. Supplemental appropriation, City College construction gap and swing space. Item 9.06, supplemental appropriation, Poly Western construction gap and swing space fund. Item 9.07, supplemental appropriation, weapons detection system. Item 9.09, policy DJA, procurement authority, third reader.
I'd like to pull that.
Take your question, please, for staff.
At the last board meeting, there was a lot of discussion around updated language in the regulations. So I'd like staff for a matter of record to provide an overview of the updated language as it relates to the procurement. The purchase order requirement for all vendors of the system for improved operational evidence of effectiveness submissions and the implementation of a timeline to support successful execution of procurement.
Thank you. Item 9.10, Baltimore Teachers Union, American Federation of Teachers, Local 340, AFL-CIO, contract 2023-2026. Item 14.01, Oracle America Incorporated. Item 15.01, Motor Coach Bus Transportation Services. Item 15.02, Tree and Garden Landscaping Services. Item 15.03, Colossal Contractors Incorporated Health Suite renovations at Cecil Elementary School, Harlem Park Pre-K to 8 School, and Federal Hill Preparatory Academy Pre-K to 5 School. Item 15.04, Colossal Contractors Health Suite renovations at Coldstream Park Building, Dallas F. Nicholas Senior Elementary School, and Barclay Pre-K to 8 School. Item 15.05, Janus Contractor, Inc., Health Suite renovations at Francis Scott Key Elementary Middle School, Dickey Hill, Morrell Park, and Baltimore School for the Arts. Item 15.06, Alliance Technology Group, LLC. Item 15.07, Taxi Cab Services. Item 18.01, Ice Miller, LLP, Legal Services. Commissioner Kenyatta, state your question, please, for staff.
Yes, that was clarification on Ice Miller and 18.02. And it was agreed to clarify the large increase in those two. Okay, thank you.
So you're asking
Yeah,
for explanation around the increase.
thank you, yes. Also, I'm sorry.
For 18.01 and then also for 18.02, Shaw Rosenthal LLP Legal Services.
Right.
Thank you. So we're pulling item 9.08, item 9.09, item 9.08 will be for presentation, 9.09 for questions, 18.01 for clarification and questions, and item 18.02 for questions and clarification.
Excuse me, Chair. I did miss 14.01. And explanation of the increase was lacking in the current iteration, and have competitive systems been evaluated? Are the questions for 14.01?
This went through, it went through operations.
Right.
Thank you. So you want to pull 14.01?
Yeah, thank you.
So we're pulling 9.08, 9.09, 14.01, 18.01, 18.02. Anything else that we're pulling? Thank you. We will now move to public comment. Speakers from recognized groups will have the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. First, we have Sherry Brown representing the Baltimore Teachers Union. That will be a video.
Good evening, Dr. Santelises and members of the school board. I am Sherry Brown on external assignment with the Baltimore Teachers Union as a PSRP Member Engagement Team Associate. I am here to speak again on behalf of your most valuable employees in the district, the paraprofessional and school office support personnel. They are secretaries, office assistant, registrar, plus a paraeducator, staff associate, homeless specialist, and school coordinators, just to name a few of the plethora of job titles of members in the paraprofessional school-related personnel chapter, also known as the PSRPs. I've spoken before the board several times on this topic and have come to the conclusion as to what may be going on and why this remains a priority that has not been addressed by the school board or the district. Number one, you aren't hearing me clearly when I speak. Number two, you don't care. Or three, you can't see the validity in acknowledging the issues faced with members in the chapter. I can't control your thoughts or emotion when it comes to doing right and uplifting PSRPs, but maybe you'll pay more attention like you do when the district does visual presentations. So I call this presentation Break the Chains. The job classification of the PSRP covers a wide range of duties and tasks. We support school communities, school personnel, administrators, and the entire district. Secretaries and office assistants are usually the first person to open doors, greeting students, staff, and visitors, and are usually the last to wave goodbye to staff leaving at the end of the day. School bus aides and drivers greet and deliver students safely to our schools. And when a teacher is absent, it is the paraeducator greeting students as they enter into a classroom. Wholeness and school coordinators ensure the wellness of our students and assist families that may be in crisis. Our registrars enroll our students as well as ensure scheduling will result in their academic success. And this is only a fraction of job responsibilities and duties performed by paraprofessional and school-related personnel supporting the district. We spend more time at our work sites than we do in our own homes, and that's why it is so disheartening as to how little the district values our work. PSRPs give so much of themselves to perform many jobs daily, in and out of their job titles and responsibilities, and they're usually jobs that others can't or won't do. We do this because we care about our students and our school communities. Yet, because of low pay, many are faced with working a second job, leaving no time to tend to their families or their own well-being. I give credit to you for at least giving us some wellness days. I would love to know how many of you leave work to head off to another job, or do you work overtime coming up with new job descriptions and responsibilities for PSRPs? There are several articles on the internet depicting symptoms of being overworked and underpaid. When it comes to the district's perspective of our contribution to the success of schools and students, we, the PSRP, are on a tier of either over or under as far as district employees. We are underpaid, underappreciated, forced to work overtime, and undeserving of the district's treatment of being bound by chains. So stop overloading PSRPs with more job responsibilities due to downsizing and not paying the salaries that we deserve. We are in the business of uplifting and providing our students with the best education and opportunities our school district can provide. So why isn't that same uplifting opportunity given to PSRPs? I am asking the district to stop using seesaw analogies when it comes to defining PSRPs, job classifications, and salaries moving forward. There is no room in the playground for us to play. When it comes to our jobs, our salaries, well-being, and livelihood, please stop playing. Break the chains. As the last few days of Black History Month come to a close, we ask that the district start breaking the chains to unreasonable job demands, unreasonable administrators, and unreasonable district expectations of us. You, the school board, can start by supporting AFT and BTU's effort in passing the resolution of the PSRP Bill of Rights. You've got to do better. Break the chains. Thank you.
Next, we have Faye Shile, Socorro, Western High School, Chair of the Legislative Affairs Committee for the Associated Student Congress of Baltimore City, ASCBC.
Chief is over there. Yeah, so
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
we're trying to exclude
Did I pronounce your name correctly? Say it again.
Socorro.
Okay. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Faye Socorro, and I am a senior at Western High School and the chair of the Legislative Affairs Committee for the Associated Student Congress of Baltimore City, otherwise known by the acronym ASCBC. The Legislative Affairs Committee of ASCBC is responsible for tracking youth-related bills in the city and state legislatures. We represent ASCBC to policymakers by offering public testimonies, coordinating student advocacy initiatives, and leading ASCBC's work on our issues platform, which are top issues that ASCBC's General Assembly identified in the fall. ASCBC and Legislative Affairs Committee work with City Schools Department to resolve these issues. For example, our committee has been working with the Food and Nutrition Department to come up with solutions for more healthy and tasty food options. Tomorrow, Baltimore City's delegation, including 139 student government youth and advisors, will board the bus to Ocean City to represent Baltimore at the Maryland Association of Student Council Convention. It is otherwise known as the MASC Convention. SCBC will be the largest delegation at the convention, something we take pride in as we build a reputation in Baltimore for youth leadership and advocacy schools from across Baltimore that are set to attend our Academy for College and Career Explorations, Baltimore City College High School, Baltimore Design School, Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, Baltimore School for the Art, Booker T. Washington Middle School, Cherry Hill Elementary Middle School, Commodore John Rogers Elementary Middle School, Coppin Academy High School, Graceland Park O'Donnell Heights Elementary Middle School, Emerson Westside High School, Henderson Hopkins Elementary Middle School, Frederick Douglass High School, Hamilton Elementary Middle School, Holbrook Academy, Lakeland Elementary Middle School, Mergentile Vocational Technical High School, Montebello Elementary Middle School, National Academy Foundation, Patterson High School, Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, Renaissance Academy, Thomas Jefferson Elementary School, Vanguard Collegiate Middle School, and finally Western High School are all set to attend MASC convention. At the MASC convention, Baltimore student leaders will engage in workshops. The election of the state student member on the Board of Education and the election of the MASC officers. We are especially proud of our members from Digital Harbor High School who will be presenting their own workshop to upwards of 70 students from around the state of Maryland. The MASC convention is eagerly awaited by student governments across Maryland, and ASCBC is no exception. We look forward to this opportunity for our student leaders to build relationships with students around Maryland in engaging skill building and positively representing Baltimore City. As a Baltimore City delegate who has attended conventions, I can testify that it is a place of networking, student advocacy, developing friendship, and building our leadership skills. Last year, I witnessed guest speakers like youth motivational speaker, the amazing T Street, who pushed youth leaders to overcome their fears of public speaking. I also attended lots of workshops. A workshop I attended talked about the stereotypes of Southeast Asian students. MASC not only seeks to build leadership and advocacy skills, but also educate their youth leaders. MASC regions all try to converge on Annapolis with the goal of creating a student presence. So on March 14th, the Legislative Affairs Committee will be visiting the General Assembly with the intent to advocate for city schools, especially to protect funding that our schools district critically need. We look forward to providing the board with an update of our efforts at the next public meeting. On that note, I want to offer my thanks to student government advisors who are taking time off to attend convention, everyone who was involved in making ASCBC journey to convention possible, our regional advisor, Ms. Haley Tilt, and finally the school board for allowing ASCBC to make this comment possible today. Thank you.
It's good to hear that we're going to have a strong delegation at MASC this year. That is so good to hear. So thank you, ASCBC.
And Board Chair, I did just want to add, just to punctuate what you just said, that it was only a few years ago where we probably only had 4 or 5 schools represented and probably less than 10 students attend. And so to hear that long list of schools from across the city, from every neighborhood, every zip code, and over 100 students is not anything minor.
We know you all are going to represent us well in Ocean City. Have fun, because it's fun out there. I remember going when I was a student, but represent us well. We know that you all will. Now we have Ms. Sheila Billups, the chair of the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee, CCAC.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to say good evening to those that is virtual and those that's in the building, and would like to say good evening to Dr. Santalise, our board chair McFadden, and our vice chair, Commissioner Roberts. I'd like to start saying we had a meeting in January trying to wrap our heads around why people are not coming in person to the meetings like they was, 2 or 3 years ago. And we was talking about the pandemic, the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic era. Well, I have an old Facebook page for CCAT, and I have somebody in the communications. We're gonna put that up and running. You can look at that by Monday. You'll see some information on that page. Our next meeting will be held right here in this room, March the 11th. Our speakers will be Jonathan Turner, overview of the IKA policy, an update on the implementation of the Kerwin plan. That's Ms. Sandy Jacobs. And last but not least, an overview of ESY. In case you don't know, that talks about the summer school for children receiving specialized services. That'll be done by Donnie Bushrod. We're still looking for people to be members of CCAT. You do not have to have a child with special needs, just have the heart and compassion for those who are receiving specialized services. That's the only qualification. I'm looking forward to seeing you all here March 11th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our meeting times has changed. And thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you there. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Billups.
Everyone have a great evening. Be safe.
I'll now turn it over to Dr. Judkins, the board executive for public comment.
Thank you, Chair McFadden. Our first public comment is from Ivy D. Gary, and this will be an email that is read. Good evening. My name is Miss Gary, and I've been teaching in Baltimore City Public Schools for 14 years. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of my colleagues and myself in response to one of the biggest scams facing Baltimore City educators. Many teachers have become aware of the harm caused by the district-approved 403B plans. City school educators have invested our money and district-approved 403B plans with the premise that we are setting ourselves up for financial stability. We now know that many of the 403B plans offered to city schools employees are predatory in nature. So I ask Baltimore City School Board, why would you allow non-reputable 403B financial firms to aggressively solicit us and extort us for our hard-earned money? They illegally come into our schools and pressure educators to sign up for their financial fund plans without disclosing the high fees and penalties. Don't we deserve to have a choice to save for retirement with reputable financial firms? At the moment, we have one reputable firm to choose from, Vanguard Investment Management Company. This is unacceptable. The predatory companies such as VALIC, Lincoln Financial, and AXA Equitable are stealing away and eating away at our savings with their high fees and penalties. These companies have fees that are higher than what other sectors receive. These companies operate on a high expense commission-based product. For educators to get out of these exploitive plans and roll over our 403B savings away from these firms is frustrating, energy draining, and almost impossible. At this moment, we ask that our financial stability as well as our present mental health be taken into account, and that the district provide us with reputable financial firms with solid 403B plans. Also, we ask the district to provide legal guidance on how to extract our money from these predatory firms like AXA Equitable. This is a financial emergency that requires immediate attention. Thank you for sharing my statement. Our next public comment is from Ray Mason, and we'll be commenting live in person. You will have 3 minutes, right?
Good evening, Board of School Commissioners. My name is Ray Mason, and I am representing the Youth Resources Board of Directors. For those who do not know, YARD is a youth-led grant maker, community organizing and leadership development organization. I am a youth who has been harmed by police. This has made me not trusting the police in general, and although I have not had a bad experience with school police, I have avoided school police and have no relationship with them. I am here today because YARD is demanding you create a process that includes real student input in the selection of the next school police chief. We understand that you have talked with stakeholders to create a candidate profile. This is not enough. It is unacceptable that only 2 groups of youth selected to be a part of that process were ASCBC and the School Police Advisory Board. Although YARD expressed early on in the multiple forums that we wanted to be a part of the process, we were intentionally denied and then offered a last minute, take it or leave it date and time. But enough about us. We were shocked about other groups like the Baltimore Algebra Project, No Boundaries Youth Organization. For most and beyond youth organizing, were not invited to participate. They also have a proven track record of organizing for police accountability and student rights. And students who may or may not be a part of organized groups need to be brought into the process as well. According to the PowerPoint presented to us, district leaders, chiefs, and such who work at North Avenue will be interviewing the finalists, and Dr. S will make the final decision. What a missed opportunity to build trust between the school police chief and students. We are directly impacted by school police. Why are you hiring someone to serve us when we do not have any decision-making power in selecting? We have a different kind of instinct about who really cares about us and who does not. Your lack of effort let us know you don't trust us or care what we think at all. Why not help us change the image of police by having students be a part of this selection process? The school chief can say they have already earned the trust of a group of students. Knowing at least some students have real input would make us more trusting of you and your process. We also want to shout out principals, teachers, and other adults who work in schools as important as well to be decision makers. We don't think they are included either. The school police chief sets the tone and expectation of officers and is responsible for holding school police accountable. We experience the impact of chief leadership directly. You have not included students in a real and meaningful manner in this process. We are tired of you using the excuse that you have a tight time frame. Rushing and being careless of our input in the process only means more time cleaning up the distrust you have created. Do it right. Reach out to more students and student groups. Include students and not just students you usually pick for leadership in the interview process. Have the finalists hear from panels of students what is important to us. This is our demand. Please respond now or set a meeting with us ASAP to further discuss redoing this process that leaves our voices of the students.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Our next public comment is from Sophia Kaur, and this will be a video played.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm just here to talk a little bit about my experience with AXA or Equitable, a pension plan that I had used for about 5 or 6 years. They first came to me when I was in NTSI and they had a booth there. And I really wish that I had been given some more financial literacy because at that time I was very young and I didn't really know what my options were in terms of who I could use to help me with my 457B or a 403B plan for other people. When they would come to my school and they would help me with my plan, they encouraged me to be very aggressive because I felt like I wanted to save money. But what I did not realize was all of the hidden fees that were being put onto my 457B and how much money they were taking out, probably 2 or 3% every year. And when I had asked the people that were helping me, the Equitable staff, like what was in it for them, they said nothing. As in they said that they weren't getting paid, there was no commission, when that is not true at all. So I felt that the way they work is very predatory, and they often don't tell you all the fees that you would have to pay and the penalty that you would have to take if you were to withdraw from that 457B and move it to a different pension plan. They often go to schools and set up food or want to have conversations with the teachers, which should not be allowed at all. And so I've told my school about 2 times now that they should not be allowed into our school. And so they immediately said no to them, that they cannot talk to any of the teachers because they are not a good company. And there are so many better options out there. But we as new teachers just didn't know. And so we're stuck. And eventually, because I was so aggressive with how much money I put into my pension plan, I ended up having to withdraw, I was penalized about $5,000 just to take my money out of their account and put it into a different account, which I now manage myself using the plan member company. So to sum up, I feel that there needs to be far more information given to new teachers, and there needs to be some more awareness about how Equitable is, I guess, preying on young, naive teachers.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Madeline Monson-Rawson, and it will also be a video.
Hello, my name is Madeline Munson-Rosen. I'm an English teacher at Bard High School Early College. Today I want to talk to you on the subject of teacher workloads. First of all, I want to say that teacher overwork is a systemic issue.
Dallas company that is catalog business, and they also work stream shoppers, so they shop all over the world and bring back one-offs, and then manufacture some of, reproduce some of the things they found, and so they went out of business and sold to another company, and so they have this sample cell, and these are giant teeth balls. They're supposed to go out to a garden, but they
So I want to talk to you today about planning time. As teachers, we have 1 hour a day.
I want us to go back so we can get all of the, so take us back to about 30 seconds.
1 hour is planning and 1 school building with supportive and professional administrators. They do our best to support us, but this issue is bigger than 1 school building. All teachers are working too hard, they're burning out, and they're leaving the profession. If the district really wants to attract and keep good teachers, they need to help us by reducing teacher workloads. So I want to talk to you today about planning time. As teachers, we have 1 hour a day for planning lessons, but we have to do so much besides plan lessons with that 1 hour. That 1 hour is the only time we have for meetings with colleagues, administrators, or students. 1 hour for progress reports, 1 hour for IEP and 504 meetings, 1 hour for our individual professional development, 1 hour to do our SLOs, 1 hour to take required trainings, whether for test proctoring or conflict of interest, 1 hour to read all the emails. I'm an English teacher, and for me, that 1 hour is also the only time I have to read and comment on my students' work. It's the only time I have to call my students' parents and caregivers and talk to them about how their students are doing. So if I spent 15 minutes for each student each week, that would be overtime. And in fact, I work almost that much, putting in 15 to 20 hours extra every week, and many of my colleagues work even more. So, distinguished members of the school board, if you want teachers to come to Baltimore City and stay in Baltimore City, if you want to not lose half or more of your teachers to frustration, burnout, and better job offers after 1 or 2 years, the least you can do is make this job sustainable. You need to listen to teachers when they say their workload is too much. You need to reduce the amount of paperwork, meetings, trainings, and other things that take up teacher time outside of the classroom. I'm not just a teacher, I'm also a Baltimore City Schools parent. I don't want my daughter to be on the losing end of a burned out teacher who can't do her best and be her best because she's too overworked. 1 hour a day.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Michael Kranick, and this will be an email that's read. Dear School Board Commissioners, my name is Michael Kranick, and I'm a special education teacher within City Schools and the chair of the BTU Special Education Committee. I'm writing to address the issue facing the multitude of staff members supporting students receiving special education services. According to the special education section of the teacher chapter contract 18.12a, a special teacher board committee composed of 6 members selected by the union and 6 members selected by the board shall be continued to advise the appropriate director of special education on the following areas. 1, curriculum. 2, responsibilities and duties of teachers providing services for students receiving special education. 3, supervision of special education teachers. 4, the availability of appropriate materials and supplies for support system for special education teachers to be continued. 5, appropriate assignment and use of paraprofessionals. 6, the special education classes in relation to the severity of disability and intensity of services. 7, the issue of inclusion. As you may be aware, the Director of Special Education position has been vacant for the entirety of this school year and has only been filled within the past 2 weeks with an interim director. As a result, neither our committee nor the staff supporting our students have been able to, 1, provide advisory services regarding any of the noted sub-areas, 2, receive guidance regarding updates and shifts within special education services, and 3, receive support from our leadership. Every month, the BTU Special Education Committee meets to collect, address, and document the variety of needs and concerns from anyone supporting special education, including case managers, ITA associates, speech language pathologists, school psychologists, social workers, paraeducators, and many more. Every month, we continue to add to the ever-growing list. The issue is we could not share the list because the person with whom we would share it did not exist. It is irresponsible, asinine, and disrespectful to staff members supporting students with the highest needs that this position has been vacant for nearly an entire school year. We need guidance, transparency, and stability from our district leadership, and I urge you to increase your efforts to immediately hire a permanent executive director of special education. Without one, the attrition rate will increase, the retention rate will decrease, and the ability to hire from the drawing pool of candidates passionate to support special education with BCPSS will decrease. Thank you for your time and consideration. And our last public comment is from Wendy Bosel, and she will be commenting live. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Senator Lisa and the board. My name is Wendy Bozell, and I'm a Baltimore City teacher. I've been a teacher for 10 years, and before that, my mom's a teacher at Dallas F. Nichols right behind here. And I'm really concerned about our attendance rate here in Baltimore City Schools. And I'm trying to just make some suggestions and see if any ways that I could help too. One, there's a lot of barriers for kids with attendance. One of my students that I was helping, I'm like, how come you're not going to school? And he was saying because he didn't have a washer and dryer to wash his clothes, and he was afraid to come without his uniform because he would be sent back to school. So maybe we can do something to prevent some of those barriers if kids come to school without their uniform. So I took him and I bought him 4 pairs of pants. And I found a way where he can go to his cousin's house now and wash his clothes. So I feel like maybe I solved that solution. And maybe there are ways that we can have a place for kids to be able to wash their clothes. Another thing that I think is a barrier is parents don't understand that there are Maryland state laws that are for truancy. So maybe, like I look on the website, I don't see any of those laws listed. And really, if a child is absent for, I think it's 3 days, if they don't call the school and let them know a valid reason why, then Maryland state law states that they will be fined $50 a day. Not that I want to go out and fine parents, but maybe if we can get press releases out or the word out that this is so important that you will be fined $50 a day, and that your second offense, it's $100 a day, and the third offense, you could face some jail time. Not that we want any of those things to happen, but I think if you let parents know, it's that important. Most parents don't know about those laws, so maybe we could put those on our website. But then I really like that you do have, and this could be promoted too, school every day, that parents could contact, it says # schools every day, that then they can help them with uniforms, transportation, supplies, technology, things that might be good ways to support them. And then one thing that I've been trying to think on my own, some good ways that's worked in other districts, is let's have some reasons to make it fun for kids to come back to school or to come to school. One thing is if you have perfect attendance, like for half the school year, that maybe we can get you tickets to a Ravens game and have something really big happening that you get to come on the field, and see if we can get some partnerships. And I've talked to some of the people that do the promotions for Ravens. They like that idea. The other one is at the end of the year, maybe we can have a Orioles Day if you're go to school every day for the second half of the year, that you get to go on the field and celebrate. And I'd like to try to work to do some partnerships so that we can get our kids to school, because it's so passionate to me. It's because I'm a hospital teacher, and a lot of the kids, all the kids, when I pull their records and get them, because I have to teach them now because they're paralyzed, they've been shot. A lot of them have been 50 to 100 days where they haven't been to school, they've been absent. And I just believe that if we check on these kids more, that they wouldn't have been shot. So every day I go to teach kids in the hospital, and I'm faced with the violence that they face or what they've been in, and I want to try to do some things to just to help them to get to school and just try all kinds of avenues.
That is,
what
that's
would be
a
important.
time for
Okay,
a little.
I'm
if you
sorry.
just-
It's such
Yeah,
an-
if you just want to close up, like
Yeah,
we were saying
that's fine.
before, so.
So thank you very much for your time. And my name is Wendy Bozell, and I'd like to help with a solution for what was facing our kids. Thank you.
That was the end of public comment. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Now I have an update from our student commissioner, Commissioner Lawson.
Thank you, Chair. My remarks are short this evening, however, they are special. Sunday, February 22nd, I had the opportunity to attend the 2024 Dance Symposium at the Poly Western Building. Yeah, and I stepped up my remarks. I have pictures. I have pictures. So, yeah, I had the chance to attend the Poly Western Building. There were 6 schools in the program: Baltimore City College, Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, Forest Park, McGuntherville Tech, Reginald F. Lewis, and Western High School. These students worked extremely hard during the season, November through February. And congratulations to Baltimore City College for winning first place in the adjudicated section, as well as Polytechnic Institute for winning second place, and then finally Western High School for winning third place. Congratulations to all those student athletes, and that concludes my remarks this evening. Oh, wait, I forgot one more thing. I would also like to thank the Office of Interscholastic Athletics, and the coordinator, Tiffany. Congratulations, you guys. That was an amazing performance. I would also like to echo what our Legislative Affairs Director, Faye, shared. I will be attending the MAS conference in Ocean City representing our school district. During this conference, I will be networking with other SMOBs and creating a SMOB handbook and a guide for being a student member of the board. My position is unique because I'm a student commissioner, but I would also like to help my fellow student members in this effort as we move our state forward, getting more voting rights and having a bigger seat at our table. So that concludes my remarks this evening.
You sure you don't have a song for us? Yeah, I will say, a few weeks ago, I did get an opportunity to go to the School for the Arts to their Black History Month showcase, and Commissioner Lawson debuted with full orchestra, singers, dancers, his arrangement of Circle of Life from The Lion King. It was impressive. And so congratulations to you, Commissioner Lawson, for your incredible creative
Thank you.
and technical work. It's very impressive. We'll hear from the Operations Committee, who met on February 20th, followed by the Policy Committee that was led by Commissioner Sally. Sally will give us a presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Clinton. I will not belabor us. The entire procurement or the entire consent agenda for tonight, with the exception of items 9.08 and 9.09, which are both policies, and the BTU contract, we're seeing through the Operations Committee. I would like to highlight the 21st Century Annual Report. This is something that, as we heard earlier tonight, is very near and dear to me. And I'm going to say this every chance I get, that the 21st century's program is something that no other major urban school system has been able to do across the United States of America. So every time I get a chance to highlight that effort of erecting 27 or 29 schools in 10 years, I'm going to do it. So for those, I hope all of my colleagues have had an opportunity to go back and look at the presentations that included the educator pipeline, that also included a number of the supplemental appropriation items that are on tonight's agenda. There were no follow-ups. There were no additional questions. So I am hopeful that they are favorable at tonight's meeting.
And I'll. Hello. Thank you. All right. Maybe it's does not work. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Hello,
Yeah,
hello,
like-
hello.
Oh. Okay. We got one finally. Thank you guys so much. So I'll take over from here. So I had the opportunity to chair the policy committee, our recent go round on behalf of Chair Esposito. Our agenda was pretty short. We focused on grading policy. So this was specifically updates to board policy IKARA, which specifically looked at 3 different things. So city schools philosophy around grading policy changes and proposed changes, as well as considerations. This will be coming, actually, so as our board chair highlighted earlier, we want to take some additional time to make sure we receive a robust set of feedback from the public. It's an opportunity for the public to review both the red lines and the changes that are being proposed and provide input via our website. Those are going to be really important to ensuring that we craft a policy that really does uphold the tenets of our grading policy and our philosophy here in city schools. And so that robust stakeholder engagement is going to be critically important. This will come back to the board for first reader on April 23rd, and then second reader on May 28th. So that window is open now. And that was our short agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Sally. Commissioner Muhammad, is there an update from Safety and Wholeness? I think it was on. I think it.
Working it out.
Yeah.
Yes, appreciate the opportunity. So the Safety and Wholeness Committee met, and I'm happy to present that there's an effort to collaborate with our partners in the school to ensure that school partners that are working towards wholeness are aligning their measures and their outcomes to district priorities. So we're making great grounds with that collaboration, and want to actually thank the wholeness team for their collaboration and their work towards assuring that wholeness becomes a priority that we're working towards across departments, and they're doing a great job at it. So I want to say thank you for your effort.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now going back to our pulled items. 9.09 Policy DJA.
We're going to pull
Just
this one.
waiting for. Say it again.
DJ.
Thank you. Come on up. This is a policy that we moved in our last meeting to third reader. So thank you all for being here, Vice Chair, and thank you to the commissioners who participated as we asked in our last meeting to kind of help with this process.
Good evening, Chief. Good evening, Ms. Matthews. How are you? Do you need me to repeat the request, or did you all capture that?
Can you
Sure.
repeat it just to make sure?
Just as a matter of record, I'd like for you to highlight the updated language around the purchase order requirement,
Okay.
improve efforts around evidence of effectiveness, and for implementation of the timeline to support execution of the procurements. I know that there has been a lot of cross-functional support throughout staff. I just want, for a matter of record, those updates to be on the record, please.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Shabray Matthews. I am the Director of Procurement. And alongside me, I have.
Chris Doherty from the Finance Office.
Thank you, Chief. So just a brief overview for third reader. The board recommended incorporating stronger language regarding city schools' ability to take appropriate corrective action when purchase orders are not in compliance with the applicable procedures and guidelines, which we deem as unauthorized purchasing. So we did incorporate language that allows us the ability to take corrective action related to those unauthorized purchases. The board also recommended stronger language regarding the evidence of effectiveness section in procurement board requests, that they should be clear, concise, and have supporting documentation and efforts. Also add adherence to timelines and schedules so that there is sufficient time for procurement review as well as for board review. So we did incorporate language to address this. And those are the three main points. We also included a recommendation from Commissioner Coy to add information related to per pupil cost in board letters. So we were able to add language around transparency and total cost and expected outcomes. And we committed to thoughtfully exploring additional ways where we can include that. So.
Thank you so much. I just want to flag, I really appreciate the improved language in the regulation, but just flagging that there also should be a concerted effort for implementation and enforcement of the new regulation. And that is a cross-functional effort. Chief, you were going to say something?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I didn't realize my face was so readable. Yes, we are already starting that. We certainly haven't started anything prior to this being approved, but the enforcement and education half or part of this, the back and forth with the board has absolutely, reinforced the importance of it. And we've already taken preliminary steps that should this language be approved, we will be off to a running start in that regard, because it strengthens the hand of the implementers and the, for the lack of a better word, enforcers to have such new strengthened language, but it's only as good as the follow-up. And we're very much in alignment with the new language, and we are already getting ready to implement them.
Thank you so much. We know that it doesn't just live at the procurement team, it's a cross-functional effort.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Slater-Harrington.
Sure. I just wanted to thank not just those before us, but for the full team who participated in the meeting and in the strengthening of the language. I agree with Vice Chair Roberts that this is only going to be as good as it is implemented with fidelity, and that those protocols are followed. I also wanted to note for public record that our concern about this policy being implemented and implemented well was not in refute to the general principle of making sure our partners are well compensated for the good work that they're doing. Instead, it was to make sure that those partners are doing work inside of a strengthened infrastructure that would make sure that they are paid. So it is not an indication of the board's lack of support of our partners, or staff. So we really do appreciate the work that you all are doing, but we want to make sure that everything is done in decency and order.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair McFadden. Thank you, Chair McFadden. Oh, it's a delay. It's a
No delays. You got to press this like 2 seconds or a second, and then you start. Thank you. Are there any additional questions for DJA item 9.09? Their motion to approve item 9.09, policy DJA, procurement, third reader.
So move.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sada Harrington. All in favor, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Sada Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with members who are present. Thank you to the team. Thank you
Thank you,
very
team.
much for your commitment and your work. Partnership. Thank you. Want to move past DJA. I want to go to the other items because that is specifically a presentation. Item 14.01, Oracle America was pulled.
Good evening, Chairman Fadden, Vice Chair Roberts, CEO Sandra Leases, and all the commissioners. The question was about the Oracle EBS contract. So the Oracle EBS contract, the board.
What's the question?
Let me read the questions for you. The question was, is there an explanation for this jump, increase, and also what is lacking in the current iteration of it? And have competitive systems been evaluated to the Oracle system?
This has gone through, so we can brief with the response.
All right. Absolutely, Chairman. The Oracle contract, the board letter for the previous year did have the necessary funds in it for this additional amount. The problem was Oracle is a corporation that does not bill in the same cycles we do. And so they sent the bill, the last half of the previous year's bill didn't get here till after July 1st. So we had to pay it. We were obligated to it. But in order to make the payment for the entire year plus that, we had to ask for the additional money. In terms of the competitive systems, Oracle EBS is what we use today. There is no competitive systems for us. We are trying to move off to the Oracle Fusion system, and we have many other Oracle products. So as soon as we can get off EBS onto Fusion and give ourselves about a year overlap in order to ensure we can get to the data, we will cease to have this Oracle contract. Many other Oracle contracts, but cease to have this Oracle contract.
Is this in alignment with the extensive presentation we received earlier this year regarding the adoption, the expansion and adoption of the new system or the updated system?
Yes, this has been the plan all along. We have no choice.
Got it.
Thank you.
Any additional, was there any additional? Thank you for that. We also thank you to the team. We also pulled item 18.01 and 18.02. I think the commissioner's question was in regards to the increase as well.
Thank you, Josh Sivan, Chief Legal Officer. This one. There's less of an echo on this one. So this is for two of the law firms that we use for various different parts of our legal work. And one important thing about legal work is that having lawyers in place, outside counsel, if we need to rely upon them so we can move quickly, because our litigation often moves quickly. So one of these firms is involved in one of our larger litigations that require many depositions, many motions, and other pieces of that. And litigation, unfortunately, in this day and age is expensive. And as much as we have a strong internal function, we also need to rely when we have those pieces. And we defend the district vigorously when we're litigated against and want to have those resources again available. The other firm works with us largely on our fair practices work. So when we have employee issues and we need outside counsel to support on investigating, following up on claims of discrimination or harassment, this law firm helps us out. They've done very good work and we want to have it available should we need that additional effort. The hope is with litigation that we're doing such a good job proactively that we don't get much sued, but we also want to be vigorous and vigilant when we need to.
Thank you very much.
Any additional questions regarding item 18.01 or 18.02? Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Budget for that. Do you keep a contingency? That too in the weeds.
Yes. So we are very careful to have that in place, but we also have our regular budgeted operational budget for legal support as well. And I'm sorry, I went back before you asked your question.
It took a while for it to dawn on me. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Sivan. Is there a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda with the exception of item 9.08?
So moved.
Take that as a motion, Vice Chair, and a second, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All in favor, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner S. I don't know why I keep doing that tonight. Vice Chair Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously. Now we have item 9.08. Third reader. Update. Non-discrimination policies. And right after that, if believe Chief Jones can prepare, and the team, Ms. Goodwin, everyone for the next presentation around strategic plan.
Hi, Josh Sivan, Chief Legal Officer, and I have with me
It's the Stokes, Director of Student Wholeness.
Renal Gomez, Director of Fair Practices.
And we wanted to make sure to just briefly share with you all the request to move forward now for third reader on a suite of non-discrimination policies that's really been a cross-office production, but it's been a long journey to get here. And after consulting with the current chair of the policy committee, Commissioner Esposito, and the prior chair, Commissioner Sally, we thought just to give the board and the public a refresher on where we've been and where we're going, because this has been and probably will be a long journey. This is a group of policies. These are our policies around bullying, which is the core of Ms. Stokes' wheelhouse, and about fair practices, which is the core of Ms. Gomez's wheelhouse. And then the legal part of this, when these cases come forward and bringing together, this is the set of policies on bullying, the set of policies on non-discrimination, the set of policies on sex-based discrimination, both for employees and for students. And we like to move these all together because it's very important that we keep these aligned. And we're trying as much as we can to streamline these policies for our schools and to do lots of training. My colleagues have been training and refresher courses for all principals in the recent weeks and have been very busy on that, on these important policies. And we started work over a year ago. I think it was October of 2022, because we learned that the Biden administration was going to revise the Title IX regulations. So we thought, we'll be superstars, we'll get ahead of the game, and we'll move forward. Well, those regulations have been delayed, and they've been delayed, and have been delayed again. And it's actually part of a suite that the Obama administration put forward a set of Title IX sex-based discrimination regulations, then the Trump administration did, and now the Biden administration did. And we've had to revise these policies each time around. And so we went to the board last year, and in March, the board voted to wait to proceed into third reader until after the Title IX regulations are finalized. Well, now we're in almost March of 2024, and those regulations are still not finalized for a lot of stuff having to do with federal politics. So we decided that, and our request to you today is that rather than continuing to wait, that we move forward with the provisions that we can. And we think that's really important because of the work we're doing to try to make sure we're rolling out all staff-wide training and have some rules that we can train on. It's difficult to do this training when we say, well, the policies are still being revised, so we want to do what we can. The interim has given us the benefit to fine-tune additions. We got some really good feedback from our friends at BTU and some of their committees that has allowed us to fine-tune these. And we've also done some updates. And if I think John Turner's running the slide, so if you go on to the next slide, just quickly, we wanted to briefly explain what we're doing. So first is we had to postpone a couple pieces that we were going to revise that are dependent upon the Biden regulations going into effect. So we can't move forward on those. And those are just briefly summarized on the next slide. So we do have to, for now, retain a narrow definition of sex-based discrimination. We wanted to streamline our investigative process. The investigative process that the current version of the federal regulations really imagine college as what they're doing, but they don't adjust for K-12. So we're pushing to adjust for Title IX for K-12 and making sure that we can do things with deliberation, but also so we can do it in the time of schools. We want to address bullying as promptly as possible, and that's important to that process, but not so much that we can't be effective in schools. So those are some of the changes, and then some of the other benefits that have happened in the meantime on the next two slides. So we put in, these are some updates that have happened from the EEOC in the interim. In the last year has issued new guidance on sexual harassment and employment. So we updated that. The General Assembly passed legislation that actually allows you to file a complaint directly with MSDE of discrimination. It used to be only for special education, but now it's for discrimination. So we referenced that. There's been an extended definition of pregnancy-related discrimination in a number of statutes, so we put that in. There's some developments on associational discrimination, meaning I'm not a member of a protected class, but I'm being discriminated because my friend is a member of that class. So putting that in and making sure we have that. And then on the next slide, a number of other pieces just quickly to flag. So just for organizational structures, we focused on a different name of the piece. A really important piece is we've also aligned with our employee handbook and our student rights and responsibilities handbook. The employee handbook's not new, but we've done a lot of work with our friends in HC to update that. And so aligning that, and then we have a refreshed student rights and responsibilities handbook. And then a couple of other pieces about definitions, about transcripts and diploma based on gender identity. So those are the pieces that we've moved forward on. And we want to move forward with the understanding that two things are important here as we move forward. One is we're going to continue to follow what's happening at the federal level. And if and when those regulations are passed, we'll be back to you to do the final tweaks. That's the first thing. And second is we will keep you updated as we go on the implementation work, on the training work that we're doing along the way.
Thank you, Chief Simmons. I'm going to allow the policy committee to lead any discussion, if there are any discussion items for this third reader.
I don't, sorry,
Sally.
I don't think there's anything additional. I think what I do appreciate is that, we're taking a proactive stance to make sure that our policies and our regulations reflect what is current law, what is current regulation, and just prospectively thinking where we can. I think just the recognition from that federal level where we are in the cycle with this current administration and a potential new administration coming in this January, this could have future implications for our work. So it's just something that we need to be mindful of, and what we may see this year as far as finalizing, as Chief Simmons mentioned, and then potentially next year as well.
Got nothing for me. I just, yeah, appreciate you all being proactive.
The one other piece I'll highlight I think is critically important in this work is making sure that the training and development of our staff at all levels in our buildings in Central District understand these policies and these regulations, how they affect them as leaders, managers, employees, colleagues, students throughout our district. And so this is really important, vital work to ensure the fidelity of implementation.
And not to put them on the spot, but Katia or Kunal, do you want to comment on the training you guys have been busy doing?
Good evening. So we have been since January. So January, February, and March, we have been doing just exactly that, making sure that we are providing our school leaders as well as our school-based liaisons with information around what exactly does our policy say, how does that policy show up within the school building. So, you know, I often joke and say I went to Law and Order Law School University. And so we really try to break it down to make sure, you know, sometimes the text can be so heavy. And so we really try to make sure we contextualize it to help them understand how it shows up in the school building. And then what does that require of us? How do we need to show up and how to respond?
Just to add on to what Katia explained, one of the ways that we've been trying to provide real life examples is by incorporating more scenarios that principals, school leaders, social workers have typically see, and having them work through it step by step so that they can identify it and specifically how to report it, because that's something that we recognize we really wanted to encourage, is the reporting and investigating of these allegations.
Thank you. Commissioner Lawson, did you have anything?
No.
It's the delay. Like mine still isn't even back on yet. So I don't know how it's working. But thank you all for that. So with that, just making sure everyone can hear me and the record also reflects what I'm saying. Is there a motion to approve? We approving anything?
Yes.
We are. But I don't see the in here, I don't see, it's a series of, so it's item 9.08 because it is a series of policies. So is there a motion to approve item 9.08?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. I'll take that as a second. Commissioner Sally, all in favor? Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner, yours is working. Commissioner Muhammad?
Yes.
Yours too. Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm in favor as well. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you all to the team. So we are now moving into an annual update on district goals. And so thank you to the team that is with us this evening. We have some substantive information to discuss tonight, but it is critically important to the board's work and to the work of everyone in the district. So please.
Great. So good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Jones, and I serve the district as the Chief Achievement and Accountability Officer. I'm going to ask my colleagues to introduce themselves as well, and then I'll start with an introduction of this evening's presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Goodwin, and I am the Executive Director over Whole Child Supports and Services.
Good evening. My name is Christina Byers, and I'm the Deputy Chief Academic Officer.
Thank you both. So this evening, we are pleased to bring forth the annual district goals update. This is an opportunity for us to be able to share highlights around the work that has been taking place across the district, across multiple offices in support of the attainment of the district goals that the board established. I will also just acknowledge up front that a lot of the content that is shared this evening has already been shared in various committee sessions. So this is really intended to bring the full board up to speed around the bodies of work that support the district goals. Next slide, please. As a reminder, there are 4 district goals here in Baltimore City. 3 of those goals were initially adopted in March of 2022. Those are the wholeness, literacy, and graduation goals that you see before you. The mathematics goal was added as a 4th goal in May of 2023. Next slide, please. By way of alignment to this board strategic priorities, we have provided this slide here that illustrates how so much of the work that we are doing in support of the goals is directly connected to the various priorities that the board has established. You will note that there is not a notation for priority 2. That is largely because priority 2 is really focused on staff. And so when it comes to the goals themselves, the goals are really student-centric. And so you'll see that wholeness is really intended to get at this question around whether our students are feeling connected and supported in their schools. And then, of course, we have 2 goals that are directly connected to the content areas of English language arts, literacy, and mathematics. Both of those are intended to take a look at whether our students are meeting or exceeding the grade level expectations in those content areas. And then last but not least, graduation, sort of that goalpost accomplishment of participating in a pre-K to 12 educational environment, trying to have more and more of our students graduating within 4 years so that they are prepared to succeed in higher education and or a career. Next slide, please. So as we get started this evening, I want to acknowledge a couple things. One, in terms of the goals themselves were established for the board to be able to articulate publicly. These are the things that we are all working towards attaining so that we can demonstrate the success of our students. However, when it comes to the work of staff interprets those goals in a variety of ways. And so one of the ways that we do that is by way of sub-goals. So you will see some examples this evening where we are talking about the work as it relates to various focus areas, acknowledging that there is measurement that has been put in place around those areas as well. The other thing that I will just preview is then within each of the sections, we've also worked to have a call to action for our entire community towards how we can attain these goals. So you will certainly hear about the work that staff are doing both in schools and in central office, but you'll also hear a bit about what we're doing with our community partners, what we're doing with other organizations, all in the spirit of working collectively to attain the goals that have been established for the district. So with that bit of an overview, I am going to turn it over to my colleague here to talk a bit about wholeness. I will just acknowledge one of the things she asked me to clarify up front is that when the wholeness goal was adopted, we were using a student survey to create a wholeness composite score as the primary way of measuring that goal. We did just want to acknowledge, because of the discontinuation of that particular survey, we will not have an update for you this evening around that measure. There will be further work brought forth to the board for consideration around what's the best way to measure wholeness going forward. And so you will just have to get an update this evening that reflects the work, but it will not be reflected in terms of that specific goal. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Executive Director Goodwin.
Thank you very much. We can go to the next slide. The next slide is actually connected to the previous one. This here is showing the different strategies that we have been working on in those 5 areas. And I'm going to lift up some of the different bodies of work that supports what you see here. So for the first, reducing the chronic absenteeism by increasing the student's sense of belonging. That is very important to us because we want to make sure that we have regular data reviews. We want to make sure processes are in place and things are done in a way that's going to feel supportive to schools, and not only schools, but families as well. For the increasing awareness for the mental health services, in the slides that I will go through, we will talk about the student wellness support teams, and we'll also give some information or an update on the expanded school behavioral health and how it is being experienced in the school. For the implementation portion for our morning meetings and advisory, I'll go over some information about how schools and how students are experiencing that and how we're looking to foster positive relationships, community, social, emotional development, and the well-being of our students, and making sure that the student voice is something that is prevalent. Then for the next, for culture and climate in our schools, we'll talk about having a safe and welcoming environment and supports that we are putting in place. We'll give a little information about our climate walks and how we're looking at data to inform the practices. And then we'll talk about the increase in our high quality extracurricular and athletics opportunities. We're really excited about that. We are really focused on student voice and making sure that we are enhancing the experience of our students. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start off highlighting some of our attendance. The reason we are able to have the gains that we have in our attendance rate and the decrease in our chronic absence rate is due to some things that I'm going to highlight on here. First, with our summer attendance liaisons, we wanted to make sure that we had a strong start. And in having a strong start, we made sure that the training started in the summer. We did not start when school when the students came back to school. We wanted to make sure that the staff was ready and that they were able to maximize all of the resources that we were able to provide for them over the summer. Then with the ongoing professional development for school leaders, we have 5 priority areas, which I will go into. For the September attendance push, that was a continuation of what we did in July and August with our attendance liaisons. We wanted to make sure that we were maximizing the levels and ensuring that they really understood the importance of pushing the attendance the entire time. With the increased central support to schools, that was something that was really important for us. We wanted to make sure we took on a differentiated approach. So we have weekly office hours, we have CLN specific office hours, on-site visits to the schools where we have teams to actually go out to them. And then we have dedicated coaching to our attendance teams. And so there are 64 intensive sites that we are currently supporting when we are going into them weekly, just to make sure that they have the supports that's needed for them to be successful. And then I'll go in a little further when I get to another slide about the launch of the Mayor's Attendance Challenge, where our wonderful CEO and our mayor, they are with us, making sure that we are recognizing the schools and making sure that the efforts of the schools is something that's highlighted. Next slide, please. On this slide, so these are our 5 key attendance strategies. We have met with success using these. It's important that we not only communicate this to the schools, but we actually assist them in making sure that it's implemented. So first, we had to make sure everyone had an attendance team. That was so important because we needed it to be a focused group of individuals who were actually the ones who were responsible for the work. That accountability piece is very important. Also, with the creation and implementation of an attendance plan, we wanted to make sure there wasn't just the team who were haphazardly doing things, but they had a plan, they had an approach, they had goals that they were trying to reach. Then we wanted to also identify the root causes and align resources that address concerns. Every school is different. And with every school being different, we know that we had to take on a approach that required us to actually go into the school buildings, and we had to address each school by what they were going through at that time. Then the incentive programs are very important. Every school does not necessarily do it the same way, but we wanted to make sure that there were incentives there for the students and for the parents. So the incentives may be something that is a reward for the student, but it may also be a resource that the parent needs that they weren't able to get for themselves. And so we make sure that we match the resources to the needs. And then for the engagement of the families, they love the events. We want to make sure that we celebrate them for the small wins as we move forward. And this is something that they've really appreciated. Next slide. So I spoke some about the professional development, but on this slide, I just wanted to say that the concerted efforts that we have made to make sure that the summer attendance liaisons have been have been trained in a way that is going to be impactful in the school. It has really paid off. The time that we spent with them this summer was really instrumental. And then the outreach that we have done with the schools and with the families is something that we have also made sure was something that we can continue to do as we move forward to look at that chronic absence in each school. And then with the strong attendance start for this year, we made sure that we started in the summer so that we can start strong and end strong. And with that, we had some key attendance strategies for training that involved the leadership, attendance monitors, weekly virtual attendance office hours, the training by CLN, and then the most important piece is that one-on-one customized support to schools. Because that's something that they can really appreciate. Sometimes being in a large group is fine when you're trying to show trends across, but it's also instrumental when you do that one-on-one support, because not everyone wants to necessarily let others know the things that they're having trouble on. And so we work with them on that. So when they come into the group, they're superstars, as we know that they are. Next slide, please. So even though this says central office support for schools, this is our central office team that we added for our attendance, but they're only in central office 1 day a week. The other 4 days, they're actually in schools. They're supporting. It's 2 teams. They have 32 schools apiece, and they go in, they make sure they support with data review, attendance reporting. They'll support with home visits, anything the attendance team needs. We're there to support them. We model for them, and we make sure that it is something that is impactful, and the schools feel it as support. For the schools that are not a part of that 64, we make sure that we still have supports for them, but it's more of a consultative model. And with that model, we will still go out and support them, but they just do not get the frequency of visits, but they do have other resources that helps them to move along. Next slide, please. With this slide here, again, we wanted to make sure that it was a strong attendance start, so we had a campaign. And with that, we started out with a phone-a-thon. We partnered with the mayor's office. It was actually right here in this room. We partnered with the mayor's office and our team here. And we really looked at the students who were considered as no-shows. And as we looked at those students, we realized that they had not come to school, and this was now September. So we made the phone calls. Everyone had a list. We made sure that we reached out to the families and asked them what it was that they needed in order to come back to school. So some of them mentioned some things like uniforms or just needing some different resources. And so for every single thing the parents said to us, we made sure that we accommodated them by partnering with the mayor's office. So that was really huge. And then for some students who needed that re-engagement support, we made sure Roger Shaw, I know he was over there earlier, we partnered with his office to make sure that they received what they needed. And then if I missed this part, my team would get me on the bus. On the Go is a school bus team where the attendance team actually went out into the community, knocked on doors. People were very surprised. We made phone calls. They were wondering what we were doing at their doors, and we just let them know that we were there to support. We were there to help. We wanted to take the load off of them, and that was a big win for us in the community. Big win. Next slide, please. I had to put this picture up here. So this picture here, sorry, Dr. S. So, yes, so Booker T. Washington. Oh, yes. Actually, that's in honor of you, sir. Oh, okay. Okay. See, I shouldn't call names. Okay. So Booker T. Washington was the first school that was recognized during our mayor campaign. And as I said, the CEO and the mayor, they come together, and the schools, you would think, well, they are superstars. But you would think that a star just walked in, because they are like so ecstatic, just knowing that our CEO cares enough to take time out of her busy schedule to come to their school just to recognize them, and that's huge. For Q1, we were able to recognize Blue for Drew Jemison. And then for Q2, we just recognized Excel, who would not let the CEO out of the building unless she did a full tour. So that was pretty exciting. Next slide, please. So I'm going to move on to mental health. And these are some highlights for this area that consist of the work that we're doing around ESBH, the expanded school behavioral health, and how we are providing additional supports to schools. We're creating, or we have created, a resource hub where schools are able to locate different resources so that they don't have to go out and try to find it themselves. We've done the work for them. We have the hub, and we assist them in any way that they may need. Also, I would like to share that there is also contracts with some community mental health partners to provide additional supports to schools who may not fall under that ESBH umbrella. And that's huge because we want to make sure that we look at it from an equity lens. And so since we did not have enough for all of the schools, we wanted to make sure we made a concerted effort to get more in. And with that, one of the other areas I'm really excited about is the Maryland Consortium to coordinate community supports to ensure increased access to mental health services. So there were 20 schools, there were 20 schools who we actually had letters of support that we wrote so that they would be able to apply to the state so that they could be partners with us. And out of those 20 schools, 11 of them were approved. And so they will be starting in our school to provide additional mental health supports. Next slide, please. So for our expanded behavioral health, I just wanted to call out some pieces that would kind of give you a glimpse into why it's so important. We make sure that there are resources for family outreach, for staff support. We focus on prevention services, mental health care, and for the crisis team that we have that's central, that goes into the school, we make sure that there are supports there that we connect with. So when the crisis team leaves, there are still supports there in place so that they can feel like they still have things that are supportive to them. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to mention one more thing for the health and specialized services piece. So we do have student wellness support teams that are actually in the buildings. We have these teams we work with. We make sure we do site visits. We have additional services that are provided by these teams. But the most important part are the different members who are a part of this team. So as we go to the next slide, it will show the makeup of the team. When people see this list, they get a little overwhelmed, but this is definitely what it takes. But we ask them not to focus on necessarily the team, but focus on the functions. Making sure that all of the students feel supported, they have a place that they can go, adults who they trust, resources that are provided for them, and folks or members of the school team who would actually be able to support them with all of their needs, whether it's mental or physical. Next slide, please. I went over this one already, but as you see, we're really excited about it because we're going to be getting additional supports that has been approved by the state. So it is totally funded. So just had to give Courtney a shout out for that, Dr. Pate. Next slide, please. So now we move into wholeness, and for wholeness, with our advisory and morning meetings, this is a place where the student voice comes out. This is a place where we have conversations where topics are brought up that may not be able to come up during the regular school day because it's not necessarily a part of the instructional focus, but it's very important for them to be able to get it off their chest so that they're able to be accessible to learn. So this is something that we are working in collaboration with academics so that we can look to see next year what are the best pieces that should go in there that support with academics, but also support with the well-being of our students. Next slide. So this piece here, as we prioritize the work and we show how we're assessing the supports that we're giving to schools, we have broken it down in the district level and the school level. The ones that you see at the bottom, those are actually the 9 domains that we go by when we're assessing the culture and climate in the schools. But that's a lot to go through in 1 year. So based on what we had, based on what we learned from our climate walks last year, the schools were able to identify some of the different supports that they need. And when we looked at the trend data that was actually on the climate walks, we realized there were 4 areas, which we have noted here, which are the ones that are most prevalent. And so we made sure that we aligned our resources, our supports, our professional development, and the coaching to these 4 areas so that we would be able to support schools. With that, the district level, we have a stat process. It is our attendance stat. With that attendance stat, this is the way we are monitoring the different things that are actually going on in the schools, whether it's attendance or the culture and climate. It all ties in together because one impacts the other. So we make sure that we have weekly data reviews. We have check-ins bi-weekly, but the entire district, members of each of the different offices come together monthly so we can assess the work that we're doing and see how it's impacting the school. Then at the school level, where they're experiencing it is through climate walks. One thing that we added to the climate walk process from last year is a deeper data dive. And we make sure that we're also providing like a case management model so that that was one of the things principals said, it's fine to come in and tell us what's wrong, but what's better is if you come in and you work with us to provide those supports. So we added that in this year to make sure that the principals and the schools felt supported and to build their capacity. And then the one piece that we added this year as well is the Student Transfer Ambassador Program. So for our students who are being transferred through administrative transfers or safety transfers, we actually have staff who can support them in transitioning into the schools so that they do not feel like they're alone. This has been very successful because the students are able to have a different person or have another person in addition to the ones at the school who they can actually rely on. We support them and we try to make sure that they have a successful transition. Next slide, please. Last slide for wholeness, and then we'll go to the next area. So for the climate walks, which we talked about, we wanted you to see that we're not just doing things in isolation. We have the climate walk and the blitz process, which we have connected to the resource and the support alignment. So when we do resource mapping, we make sure that it is connected to the needs of the actual building. With the case management, we have coaches who are actually in the building, which I shared with you. And then with that continuous improvement piece, if something isn't working, we make sure that we make changes or make shifts that will be supportive of the process. So as you can see, we're not doing it in isolation, but we're combining it so that it feels like a process and that the schools understand the reason for us taking this approach. Next slide, please. So just to call out some of the professional development, everything that we do has to be grounded in the professional development. So we have the professional development pieces in place for our school administrators and central office around restorative practices. We also have experiences that our central office staff has been a part of for their childhood, for the adverse childhood experiences and violence prevention. Then we have foundational training for our school leaders as well. You heard the presentation or what was shared earlier about the bullying harassment in Title IX. That is something that we're making sure all school leaders are getting and their teams. And then we also are ensuring that the priority domains are something that's addressed for culture and climate, as well as making sure that our climate leads and hall monitors are trained in the different areas to ensure that the schools are safe. Next slide. So we have a new position that we put in place for our Healing Center Violence Prevention and Response. This person is supporting with the work mainly in the high schools, and we make sure that it is a collaborative approach. And we also make sure that the schools feel it as something that is restorative, a more holistic approach to ensuring that our families we have an impact on families. Our goal is for families to feel safe. So as we're working through it, we're making sure that we are hearing what the families are saying, what the schools are saying, so that we can put things in place to ensure that we are having an impact in that area. Next slide. So for this one here, this is also one of the responsibilities of our manager, who we just brought on from the previous slide. And what the importance of this slide is just showing that we are taking an approach to make sure that schools feel supported if there's a crisis. We want to go in, we want to be proactive, but we also know if a crisis occurs, we have to make sure that we have a plan in place to address that. So for phase one, it's the assessment and communication, just ensuring that the communication to all stakeholders and us assessing the needs is something that is a part of the process before we even go in. And then we continue that with the families and with the schools so that they understand the approach that we're taking. Then for phase two, we have the individualized supports for adults and students, where we're actually in there. We have teams who are supporting the teachers, they're supporting the families, and definitely the students. Just making sure that we're coordinating services so the schools don't feel like everyone is coming in on them at the same time, but they actually understand that it's a more concerted effort of us trying to make sure that we're making connections so that we can build on to the sustainability. Phase three, we do the modeling and implementation, just making sure that we are putting or leaving them with tools and modeling the tools for them so that they feel as if they can continue to do the same things that we're doing. If not, we will go back and provide supports for them. And then with the ongoing support and stabilization, just making sure that we're monitoring and putting a sustainability plan in place so that they will feel as if they can continue on once we actually leave the area. Next slide. So for extracurricular and programming, this was another one of the areas. I will just highlight on this slide how important the student voice and engagement is. We're making sure that as we are looking into program development and partnerships, that we are listening to what our students want. And if I could be totally transparent, we want to do more of that. We want to get into the schools. We want to have listening campaigns. We want to make sure that we are there with the students and hearing what they say. We want them to know that we respect their opinion. And as we're doing that, we are actually looking at the partnerships to see how impactful they are. And how students are actually experiencing them, because every student, 100% of our students in the school should be reached by some partner, by some program, by some experience. So we want to make sure that is actually happening. Next slide. So I could not leave our athletic team out. So just wanted to share, this is some information from our middle school expansion. And as you can see from 22-23 and 23-24, our numbers have gone up with our registered athletes as well as our participating teams. That is something that was intentional, and we want to make sure that we continue that as we move forward. We're expanding the options based on things that the students like to do, and we just want to make sure that their interests are something that is a part of all of our decisions. Next slide. So I just had to mention, we're also taking it from a health and safety perspective. So the areas that you see up there, we dedicated ourselves to making sure we have athletic trainers. Is that my code that I'm supposed to? So Oh, you're gone with me?
Like the Academy Award.
So I promise I'm almost finished. Um, we don't get a chance to come in front of you, so we're just so excited. We just wanted to give you everything. So with the athletics and the health and safety, I just wanted to share with this part where we are not just trying to put athletic trainers in place so that they can be at the games and so that they can just work with the athletes while they're there. We're trying to take preventative measures to ensure that our athletes understand the wellness pieces. They understand how important it is for them to take care of themselves. They understand the interventions that's needed. So we are happy to say our goal this year was just to have 5 in place, but we're up to 9 now, and I'm pushing the team because I told them that we want to make sure that we attain next year's goal this year to have them all in place. So I'm going to pass it on to my colleague at this.
One more.
See, I was trying to give it to you. Next slide, please.
One more.
So the most important one. So what City Schools is doing. So for our attendance, just to go through, I'm just going to go through this all together. So for the attendance, we're making sure that the resources are provided for our families. For mental health, we're taking an approach to ensure that the well-being of our students is something that is in the forefront of all decisions. For the morning meeting and advisory, we are making sure that we provide an outlet for the student voice. We want to build community during that time and definitely promote empathy. Then for our culture and climate, we want to make sure that schools are feeling supported with all of the resources that we have in place, taking a more restorative approach with the daily interactions. And then for extracurricular programming and athletics, just making sure that we are expanding the options and ensuring that the student voice, again, is something that is in place and promoting that engagement. What we're asking for from our parents. For grades K through 5, we're asking parents that you please take time to actively listen to your student and give them a space to express themselves. We are seeing that is a great need, and we will continue that at school as well. Then for our parents in grades 6 through 12, to encourage mindfulness time for students, give them the opportunity to sit quietly in a designated time and just to breathe, just to relax, just to let it go. We also want to make sure that for our parents, we are encouraging the students to embrace challenges, to view mistakes as learning opportunities, and persist in the face of setbacks. That will definitely help them for decision-making, things that they're doing at the school level. Then for students, to speak encouraging words to yourself and others. Then for the community, encouraging parents and students to explore many new enrichment and growth opportunities that are available. And the last slide, I promise, and the only thing I want to say about the next slide is these are the areas that we are going to continue to work on. These are the areas we went through today, and we're going to make sure that professional development is something that is exercised through all of these areas, and also with the work we're doing around the Healing Center of Violence Prevention and Response, we're making sure that that is something that's infused in all areas as well. Now it's your turn.
Before we do that, Chief Jones and team, that was a lot, but I know we're moving into the literacy and more of the academics. I want to lend some time for questions and just thoughts around the information that Ms. Goodwin just presented. I actually want to begin with Commissioner Muhammad, and we can move from there.
So I'll just give 2 comments. I want to say that often we hear questions about what we're doing for our young people to make sure that they have a safe and whole school. And everything that you gave us today is what we need, what our families need to know, that we are doing so much to make sure that Baltimore City schools are the best for our young people. So I want to thank you for your effort and the layers that you're putting into assuring that we have the best schools for every child. I also want to add that attendance from a wholeness perspective. Attendance is so important, and us working towards this across departments is extremely important because attendance is the foundation of everything that we do. We cannot pour into young people that are not present. So your effort to make sure that attendance is the work that's done year round is amazing. So I want to thank you for the presentation and the effort that you're putting in. And if we can continue to pour in collectively with regards to assuring that every child is present, you're going to have amazing results with regards to your outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed, Commissioner Coy, and then Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yeah, thank you, Director Goodwin, for going through all of that. One question that I had as you were talking through is, you know, there's so much that is happening, and yet, if you could lift up two things, maybe three things that you wish were just happening more, you know, because there were so many different initiatives that you could say, we're doing a good job of this, just not enough of it. What would those two things or three things be?
Thank you for that question. You asked me a similar question during our committee meeting, so I was ready for you this time. So one of the areas that no matter how much we do when it comes to the student transfer ambassadors, there's such a great need. And so that is one area where if I could like take my people and multiply them by 20, that would be one of the areas that I would definitely look into. And then the other area is around just making sure that we highlight student voice. Sometimes we just get busy in the hustle and bustle, and we say it, but I don't think we do enough of it. And then when students get it, what they are sharing with me is it seems like it has been an adult decision, not necessarily a student decision. And so we want to make sure that we are working with Commissioner Lawson to make sure we get that part right. So those would be the two things that I would definitely lift up.
Yes, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, hello. Check 1, 2. Well, because I can speak up. Yes, it's mic 2 and mic 3.
Mic
Both of them.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Both of them.
Mine isn't working.
Hello? Check. Okay. Check. Okay. Many years in theater, I tend to project well. It can be picked up somewhere. I just ask a real quick question for you. What are the components of a school community? Because when we talk about school wholeness, I love what you're doing. I love all these elements and all like that. But there's a very big part that I don't see a real focus, and that is on your instructors, your staff, in your schools, because this is a school community, and I enjoy the fact that we're looking at bringing that student voice forward, making sure the government. What about the rest? Because a student without a teacher is boom. You know what I mean? If they're not that whole community. And so I just want to know, how are we encompassing that?
Yes, well, we do have professional development that is actually run by Teaching and Learning, and they have days that we have professional development sessions. So we are able to get in front of teachers as well during those times. But I would definitely take that back, because if it didn't come across in the presentation, then I'm going to look to make sure we're doing enough of it.
Add to that, there's also the work that we do through our human capital office that also factors in what are the needs of staff. So that sort of complements what we talk about in terms of the student wholeness efforts.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No.
Commissioner Slater.
6.
My mic sounds no, okay, never mind. I got excited. Um, it's clearly past my bedtime. Hi. I have 2 to 3 questions. One is just a note, and we can circle back to it for follow-up later. I think I asked this before, but since we have this new funding coming in to support the expansion of mental health in schools, I'd like to know the baseline. So what's the utilization rate? And so that we can get up under, if it's not fully utilized, why, and those things. I'm just curious to make sure that we are good stewards of not only the dollars that we have, but the new ones that are coming in, and make sure that they're directed. I'm confident that you're doing that. The next one was around sustainability, particularly looking at the wholeness teams, the well-built out wholeness team, and all of those factors as we look. Dun, 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 dun. I don't think we said it at this meeting around sunsetting assets. Do I win? I win. I was the first one to mention it today. As we look at the sunset, we'll have competing priorities for funding and those things. How do we keep, and no pun intended, this whole, right? And what is the sustainability plan for that? And I think that I've used all of my brain cells now, so we'll hold all future questions.
So whenever the money questions come, you notice everybody at the table, right, goes this way because we're in the midst of budget right now. I will say the teams have done a really great job at queuing up with the help of finance, with the grants office, with Dr. Wu, right, queuing up what are the expenses, the investments that are the dollars currently supporting them are sunsetting, and folks are in divisions, including wholeness, including academics, OAA, right, are actually saying, okay, these are the positions or the investments that are with ESSER, and how do we continue to sustain, but it's not automatic, right? It's not just we're going to sustain it because it was happening. I think what we're seeing though is, and this is a shout out pitch for everybody to take very seriously those concentration of poverty dollars, because a lot of the work, described here, it does qualify under those concentration of poverty dollars. And if you look through, and at some point, actually, the comms team is now working on a website where we will, very similarly to what we did with ESSER, we will actually go through and show what those concentration of poverty dollars are actually supporting. So this kind of narrative that's out there, and I'll wax prolific on another time of where I think it's coming from, saying that concentrations of poverty dollars are not being used. This is how they're being used. They're being used in middle school sports. We had no middle school sports, right? We had no, we didn't have the number of mental health support positions. A lot of the central team work around attendance, we initially funded it on ESSER dollars. We're now shifting some of those to concentration of poverty dollars. So great work by Teresa, Kim Hoffman, others, that their team in really being creative. So I'm actually not as concerned about that shift as long as the concentration of poverty dollars don't go away. And I've been real clear, I've said this to the governor, I've said it to the mayor, I've said it to the Senate president, right? I've said it to the speaker. The reality is that concentration of poverty dollar stream is what is actually building back. And I want to say building back the kind of educational opportunities that city school students had been, frankly, engineered out of. So all that you are seeing, that we went from literally,
Zip Middle School Sports sponsored by the district. It was all on the back of Rec and Parks. It was all dependent on parents paying for it. That's being supported by those dollars. So if folks want a rationale for kind of the advocacy, this is a good one. So the answer to the question is I'm not concerned, Commissioner, with that, as long as that other pocket remains. If it does not remain, then we will get a 2016 redux, and everybody will say, well, why are there cuts? Well, there's cuts because you're taking away the money that is built it all back in the first place. So that's where that money is being spent. So when people ask, where's all that money going? Here in Baltimore City, we know where that money's going. And this is where it's going. But you still have to get your expenses approved.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can I add just one quick thing, just to build upon something you mentioned, Dr. Santelises, is that, to the extent from our role as governors on the board, what keeps the real focus on wholeness is having these things as a goal, right? It keeps the focus for all of us in terms of like why student wholeness is important for our scholars, for our system, how these things affect and impact student achievement. So that's really, our role as governors to make sure that like we keep that dead center and focus no matter what changes in the environment. Those strategies may shift, the dollars may shift, but the goal, like keeping that as a goal and understanding the components that we have in there, it's going to be critically important to our system.
All right, we are going to move on. It's great to be here on behalf of Dr. Joan Dabrowski, our Chief Academic Officer. And to your point, we're able to have goals in literacy and mathematics when our children are whole. And so this evening, I will provide a high-level overview of our progress towards our goals in literacy, mathematics, and graduation. I do want to just state that we had the opportunity to give a really in-depth update on literacy and mathematics at the Teaching and Learning Committee meeting in December. And so I am going to, for the full board, just highlight and lift up some of what was presented during that comprehensive overview. And so our literacy goal is to get more students meeting and exceeding expectations in the area of literacy. We have implemented collectively many strategies toward this goal and have made pretty significant progress. Our growth on MCAP in ELA and literacy did actually exceed the growth of the state. And so we have a lot to be proud of in this area. This evening, what I would like to really highlight in terms of our strategies around literacy will be how we are progress monitoring the implementation of our pre-K through 8 literacy plan. We are in the process of beginning to write a literacy plan and develop a literacy plan for high school for grades 9 through 12. So I'd like to highlight some of the work around there. I want to talk a little bit about our commitment to foundational literacy, because that has truly been something that we've been committed to since the inception of our blueprint in city schools, and we're seeing those dividends pay off. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we are working to build adult capacity in the area of literacy. Next slide, please. So our pre-K through 8 literacy plan really did set our vision for literacy. It speaks to literacy content and instructional expertise that is needed and how we target literacy supports in order to meet individual student needs. And finally, there's a component around the importance of engaging our families and our communities when it comes to increasing outcomes for students in the area of literacy. Next slide, please. So again, I want to say the greatest pillar of this plan is really around how we launched the science of reading in city schools and all of our instructional supports around ensuring that our teachers had the knowledge and the capacity to implement what we know and what others around the nation are coming around to be the thing that we know moves the needle, which is the science of reading. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but what we've been able to do in terms of training teachers around this has been quite remarkable. We do regularly monitor our implementation of our pre-K to 8 literacy plan, and we do that with an external partner. We obviously look at a lot of quantitative metrics, our BOI, our beginning of year data, our middle of year data, but then we also look at a lot of qualitative data through walks that we do with our external partner in order to ascertain how this plan is actually living at the school level where it's most proximate to our students. We also continue to have a feedback loop with the original steering committee that developed the pre-K through 8 plan so that we're able to make adjustments where necessary. Next slide, please. So it's very exciting to be able to say that we're in the middle of developing a literacy plan for high school. We know that we are committed to developing both adolescent and disciplinary literacy for our high school students. And so where we are right now is working through the results of a diagnostic report that again includes some of our, quantitative data metrics that you are all familiar with, but also a lot of qualitative measures that were gathered through ourselves and an external partner by spending time in our high schools. If you remember, we adopted 2 high-quality instructional materials for English in our high school a year and a half ago now. And so this gave us an opportunity to really, after a year of implementation, look at what's been working and what we would like to lift up in terms of initiatives and strategies for high school. We will be engaging with monthly stakeholder engagement meetings as we develop this multi-year plan. So just like our pre-K to 8 plan, it will be multi-year, but again, emphasizing the importance of adolescent literacy and disciplinary literacy. Next slide, please. So I do want to pause and talk a little bit about foundational literacy. As I mentioned earlier, our work around this really began with the commitments that we made as a system in our blueprint. And it has really enabled us as a system we were able to sustain momentum around foundational literacy gains through the pandemic, which not everyone was able to do. Coming out of the pandemic, we had this opportunity through the Maryland Leads Grant to really begin our training on the science of reading. And it's wonderful to be able to sit here and say that we've trained over 300 teachers in the science of reading. The other great part of that, and it harkens back to the question of the sunsetting of funds, right? Leads is also a grant, was that through this though, because we've been able to train so many people in the science of reading, we built internal capacity. So we have our science of reading fellows who are now leading our professional learning through our systemic professional learning days. We have year-long arcs of learning around foundational literacy skills. And so we feel poised to be able to sustain this work as we move forward. Again, we also did commit to summer institutes around both the science of reading and phonics and phonemic awareness through our summer institutes and this emphasis on adolescent literacy, which we will then carry over into the development of our multi-year high school plan. Next slide, please. So the next 2 slides will really speak to our investment in adult capacity. As you all know, through our, I feel like we always have to say our blueprint, our city schools blueprint, we really began this idea of what it means to have coaches for the people who are most proximate to this work, being our teachers. Because of that initial investment, we were able to this year go to scale with literacy coaches. And so we do have literacy coaches in all of our buildings, and this year has been a true investment in building their capacity to be able to coach our teachers. Similar to the approach that you heard my colleague talk about in Holness, we know that all of our schools have unique needs. And so we have had to take a differentiated approach to the way we build cycles around coaching, to the way our schools engage in progress monitoring and quarterly progress monitoring through learning walks and data cycles in their schools. We do get to meet with our coaches regularly, again, to build their capacity around really two areas. We build their capacity around content. So not just foundational literacy, but our high quality instructional materials. But then we also have an opportunity to build their capacity around coaching in general and what it means to coach adults. And so this has been a lift, but again, with the goal of ensuring that those most proximate to our students have their capacity built. Next slide, please. And to just expand on that, we also have been able to differentiate our professional learning for our teachers. So they have their coaches, but we also, through our systemic professional learning days, work with them and our leaders. So in our upcoming Leadership Institute in March, we will be focusing on literacy with all of our high school, with all of our principals, pre-K through 12. And it's not just about literacy, but we're going to be talking about, as leaders, how do you actually focus on maximizing and leveraging a literacy coach in your building? Because our principals, those are the leadership moves that they really look to us to be able to support them with. I have this person in my building, and how do I maximize their capacity? And how do I really pull this as a lever that's going to have great outcomes for my teachers and my students? Next slide, please. So it's our take action slide. I've talked a lot about what we are doing through building capacity, through our emphasis on foundational literacy, our movement towards adolescent literacy. We continue to have our personalized learning supports and our high dosage tutoring in our schools. So I'd like to focus right now on the right side of the slide with regard to sort of the call to action for our students, our community, and our parents. One thing that's great about all of the research that's been done in the area of literacy over time is that there's one thing that really hasn't changed, and that is that the more students read, the better readers they become. And so you'll see that, you know, things that we always emphasize people working with our youth do is read to them, listen to them read, carve out time for them to read and write, specifically when it comes to our adolescents and our high schoolers. Sometimes they just need the time and the space to be able to do this. And then for our parents, in addition to all of those things, our students all have individualized literacy goals through their student learning plans. And so that's a great opportunity for our families to have conversations with the school around what it is their student can be doing in order to increase their individual literacy outcomes. Next slide, and we will move into mathematics. So just like literacy, our goal for mathematics is we want more students meeting and exceeding proficiency when it comes to math. We have set pretty rigorous goals and sub-goals in the area of math. I do want to just recognize that we appreciate the board bringing on our math goal last year. We recognized that this was something that we needed to focus on. We did talk last year when we introduced the math goal and sub-goals with all of you that we were going to really focus on 6 critical areas, and those are the areas that you see. Again, we went in depth in all of these areas during the December Teaching and Learning Committee, so I am going to lift up this evening just a few of them. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this evening, what I really want to spend a little bit of time on is talking about our high quality instructional materials, where we are and where we're going with those. I also will talk about what we've been doing this year around increasing adult capacity, our teachers, our coaches, and our leaders. And then finally, I want to talk about how we've engaged our family and community around mathematics this year. Next slide, please. So as you are all aware, we have had high quality instructional materials in mathematics for quite a while now. We use the Eureka mathematics curriculum all the way through some of our high school courses. And so we have been using that each year. Our focus has been to shore up and support high quality implementation of that resource. In a moment, I'm going to talk to you about where we are in terms of looking at high quality instructional materials. And so I do want to highlight that for this year, what we have done to shore up our current materials in light of the fact that we know we're looking at potentially new materials is we really took the time to prioritize content and lessons. So we looked at scope and sequence. We looked at those key concepts and content that we know kids need as building blocks as they matriculate through higher levels of mathematics. And we prioritize that content and the lessons that attend to that content in our scope and sequence. We also have really dug into this idea of using embedded assessments to conduct short cycle data cycles around where kids are so that we can intervene with regard to what they need in quicker cycles, as opposed to waiting until our benchmark assessments, which, as you know, happen 3 times a year. And then finally, one of the things that we've done this year, particularly around shoring up Eureka, is we've built in spiral reviews. So math is taught in a sequence. And what you're taught in September, it builds, but you don't necessarily come back to that again until you meet the next grade level standards, where all of a sudden you're supposed to remember it, and now build onto it with more rigor. And so what we've done this year is built in spiral reviews that actually allow students to go back to previously taught content. If there are new gaps that exist, we're able to then remedy those gaps before waiting until the next year, where then they're expected to be able to use those, what are now prerequisite skills. And the final thing I'll say about this year with what we've done with Eureka, which I think is just incredible, is in alignment with sound instructional models and design for multilingual learners, we've included language objectives for our multilingual learners. So very simply, what that means is in a lesson, we tell students what it is we want them to know and be able to do by the end of the lesson. In mathematics, it pertains to a math skill. We've paired that with the language, the academic language that's necessary in order for them to attain that math skill. So we're simultaneously building academic language while we're building their math skills. Next slide, please. So I do want to talk a little bit about where we are. So as I stated, we're currently reviewing new high quality instructional materials for K through 12 mathematics. I want to just say that once we get into high school, things shift a little bit, because you're not adopting or looking at grade level mathematics, you're actually looking at courses. So you're looking at Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, but we are looking at the full continuum of K through 12. A curriculum review committee that is comprised of diverse stakeholders has been meeting. It includes some school-based stakeholders, it includes some district-based math leads, and a full range of students. And so that committee has been working to review materials. Our next step in the process is, once the committee has done their work and has ushered forward some recommendations, we will then begin in a pretty robust stakeholder engagement process. This will be opportunities both virtually and in person for families, teachers, students, building leaders, community members to look at these materials and to be able to provide feedback. We're hoping that this will all conclude sometime in May, might be towards the end of May, but that we will be able to usher forward a recommendation to the board around the potential adoption of a new math curriculum. Next slide, please. I mentioned that I want to talk about adult capacity. That was one of the 6 pillars of our math improvement plan, and we have been working towards this year. We did provide learning to well over 200 teachers during our summer institutes, where the focus was on a strong start. So how do you really start strong in a mathematics classroom? What are the routines, procedures that need to be established for students in math? We've conducted monthly sessions for some of our schools have math coaches, so it's either a math coach, or some schools have math leads. And for math leads, again, the approach here is, how do we build capacity for folks who are more proximate to our students in the schools? We do, through our systemic professional development days, differentiate our sessions for teachers. And so some of our teachers just have different entry points into the area of math. And so we try to differentiate them based on the proficiency of our teachers. We also have established professional learning communities with math teachers, where they're actually able to dig into what's working, why is it working, what's not working, why isn't it working, how do they learn from each other, grounded in data and what they're learning in the classroom in real time. And then in terms of our leaders, our January Leadership Institute, gosh, it was only a month ago, did focus on mathematics. And so we were able to have an expert in the field come and work with our principals that day. They got to hear from teachers who are in the field every day doing the work. And again, with an emphasis on, with all of this, what are those levers that you pull as a building leader in your school when it comes to mathematics? Next slide, please. This is exciting. So we have partnered, and I was looking to my colleague, Chief High Covered, she's not sitting there anymore. We have partnered with our colleagues in family engagement around math. We hosted this first time, two Zoom family event nights that were virtual. Where the first one really focused on making sense, understanding what it means as a family member when you receive data that gives you information about your students' progress in math. Our second one, which was held on February 6th, focused on is my child ready for state assessments. A lot has shifted in the math landscape. I know since I was in school, since a lot of our families are in school, our assessments align to those shifts in landscape. And so this is really helping parents understand that connection. We hosted a math scavenger hunt at the Science Center in December called the Great Math Scavenger Hunt. And the highlight of this is that we had over 1,400 people attend this event. Yes, yes. So this is all kudos to our family engagement team. Our math team just did a remarkable job. And we are in the process of trying to plan one date to be determined at this time. That's why it's not up here, but we are going to do another in person before the end of the school year. Next slide, please. So take action. Again, on the left side, I've highlighted a lot of what is on that side in terms of what we have done in city schools. I do just want to emphasize something that we've lifted up in teaching and learning, and that is the expansion of honors pathways in mathematics in our middle grades and access to AP courses in high school, specifically around mathematics. In terms of what our partners in this work can do, our families, our community members, and our students, for our youngest learners, sounds simple, but fact fluency. So anyone, whether you are a childcare provider, a family member, you run a camp, the more we can practice fact fluency with our youngest learners, the stronger their foundation is and becomes for complex mathematics. For our middle grade students and our high school students, it's really important to have students just talk about what they're doing mathematically. For those of us who it's been a while since, we've been in Algebra 2 or trig with algebra, that's okay. Let them talk through it, because if they can talk through it, that demonstrates understanding. To our students, for those of you who are beginning to think about your post-secondary pathways, know that math is important in a lot of fields, particularly in STEM fields. And so you want to make sure that you are making that connection between your choices and your coursework and what your post-secondary aspirations are. I think about our students who are in our career and technology pathways. Many of those pathways are really dependent on your mathematical proficiency. And then finally, join us when we host these events. So it's just a great opportunity to, again, learn about what I'm sure you've all heard people call the new math. If you've ever been, on a ball field or at a playground and you're the educator, they'll say, "What's this new math?" So we're trying to provide some opportunities to help explain the shift in mathematics. And so we ask that our stakeholders join us for this. Next slide, please. All right, we are in the home stretch. We're on graduation. So as you all know, our graduation goal centers around increasing our 4-year graduation cohort rate. We currently do not have our graduation rate for 2023. The state has not yet released that. We are anxiously awaiting that. But in the meantime, we have been implementing a lot of strategies in support of both our graduation goals and the sub goals. You see some of them on the screen. particularly the implementation of our student learning plans. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about our 9th grade on track initiative. Our partnership with MOED, which is actually the result of the Blueprint for Maryland, so Kerwin, and some career coaches that we will be launching in our middle and high schools. I'll talk a little bit about our credit recovery opportunities as well, and how we're actually expanding some original credit opportunities, all in service of our graduation goal. Next slide, please. So last year, when we came to you with our goal update, we used this as an opportunity to introduce the 5 focus areas of our high school strategy. You see them on the screen. Tonight, what I would like to do is go through and update you on where we are with each of these strategies, because they all work collectively in service of our graduation goal. Next slide, please. So the first focus area is defining and preparing for success. One of our key strategies in being able to do this is the development of a portrait of a graduate for Baltimore City Public Schools. Last year, we talked a little bit about what this is and what this means. You've probably seen it all over our website because we've been actively engaging in this process, but really our portrait is going to identify those competencies that we believe our students need when they leave us, and it will be the anchor for our revised strategic plan. We've been working since December with a design team. It's a group of stakeholders, both internally and externally. I want to highlight here that also as part of this process in the development of the portrait, we were able to engage 21 groups of students over 7 campuses. They had some amazing things to say about what they believe they need upon leaving us as graduates of city schools. We're hoping to be able to share that with the board in April. Next slide, please. Another focus area of our high school plan and strategy was really focusing on grade 9, and this has been a lot of our work this year. We hired 23 school-based, in-school, full-time, on track to graduate coordinators. Just to put that in context for you, at the student level, that's 5,000 ninth graders that we're touching through these 23 coordinators. We have a central office coordinator who really steers this work, particularly the development and the in-school support. So similar to the wholeness approach, you know, we have this central office position, but it's more of a school position because they're in the schools working with the school-based coordinators. They really work through data cycles regularly, short cycled data cycles, so that they can intervene. Each data cycle focuses on a different aspect of what it means to be on track. So making sure you're in the right courses, making sure you're passing the right courses, making sure you're coming to school. And additionally, we are in the process of providing differentiated support to our schools based on the percentages of students who at this point in the year, at this midpoint, are or are not on track to graduate by the end of grade 9. So we've used our data from the first semester to be able to differentiate how we're supporting schools around this work. Next slide, please. So staying on track is all about high school persistence. We get out of grade 9, you're on track. Yay, you have 3 more years. And so some of the things that we've done in order to support high school persistence is we did revamp. We're in year 1 of a revamped high school scheduling model. If you recall, we spoke with you last year around the why of this, in terms of being able to have time and schedules for students to fulfill graduation requirements, take electives, those courses that they really want to take, and then also have time for work-based learning, paid internships, pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships. Also in the area of persistence, we did expand our models and our opportunities for credit recovery. So as you know, our extended learning programming is how many of our students do recover credits during the school year. We started that much earlier this year, and students were able to get on track with recovered credits earlier. Similarly, we've had a Saturday credit recovery program for several years now, but it typically started at the mid-year point or after quarter 3, excuse me. And this year we started it actually prior to the mid-year point in quarter 2. Again, just so students can more rapidly get on track. This is very exciting. So one method that we use for credit recovery is a self-paced blended learning type of course. We are going to begin providing students with the opportunities to use those self-paced blended learning courses to earn original high school credit outside of the school day and their school schedule. This is huge. We're starting with health and tech ed. Those are 2 graduation requirements that they have to fulfill. What this will do is, again, just free up time in the schedule during the day to be able to engage in other opportunities. Next slide, please. I can be brief here because of my fabulous colleague. So when it comes to wellness and safety, you can see these are all the things that Sonia has already previously lifted up around attendance, around middle school athletics, around expanded extracurriculars. The one thing I will highlight here is our expansion of our mentoring programs and being able to assign mentors to our students to be able to do regular check-ins. This is really critical. We're also using a data-driven approach to how we're ensuring certain students have mentors and when mentors enter their high school trajectory. So I just wanted to lift that up as well. Next slide, please. And then finally, the 5th focus area of the high school strategy really centered around how we organize ourselves to do the work. And so this year, we have a new Office of Secondary Success and Innovation to really drive and steer the work of our students in grades 6 through 12. Additionally, our schools had opportunities to hire staff both that focused on academics and that focused on school operations in general. So in terms of academics, I spoke about our grade 9 coordinators. I spoke about our literacy coaches, our math coaches. In terms of operations, schools had the opportunity to hire registrars, to hire business managers to handle some of the fiscal operations, again, so that they have more time to be proximate to the instructional work in the building. And I think these have been important levers for our school staff to be able to pull. The additional staff that is school-based that I would like to highlight here is our post-secondary advisors. When we launched post-secondary advising, it was prior to us knowing that we were going to have opportunities to have career coaches through our partnership with BCCC and MOED. And so really they were post-secondary pathway agnostic, meaning I want to go directly into the workforce. I want to go into a 2-year program. I want to go into a 4-year program. Regardless of your post-secondary aspiration, post-secondary advisors could provide guidance. As we work through this process of having career coaches, we'll have about 16 in our buildings by the end of the year. So as we work through that process, we're beginning to just look at the intersection of advising roles so that people aren't stepping over one another, and that more importantly, our students understand who's my person. So if this is my post-secondary pathway of choice, there's all these resources in the building. Who is the best person for me to tap into? So we're excited about how we've been able to really fortify our organizational structures, both centrally and at the school level. Next slide, please. So take action. I am going to focus on the right side exclusively right now. Our sub goal for graduation is students reading on grade level by grade 3. So no surprise when we talk to families, part of graduating on time is having really sound literacy and mathematics proficiency. When it comes to our middle grades, grades 6 through 8, this is the time where students begin thinking about the choice process. They start thinking about some of their post-secondary aspirations. And so engaging with students and providing students opportunities to go to our choice fair and talk to them about what they're thinking about will help them in that selection process. Students, when you are in middle grades, this is what we want you thinking about. We want you thinking about how you tie things like our choice process to your post-secondary aspirations. Again, for our families and students, it comes, back to things like we need you here, we need you with us, we need you present. We need you passing your courses, and we need you to think about your course selection in alignment to your post-secondary aspirations. And then finally, for our community, we have a lot of opportunities to celebrate our students, to celebrate their progress. We were able to highlight CTE month just during our winter graduation ceremony this past Saturday. And so being able to join us for those positive affirmations for our students is a great way to support our graduation goal. Next slide. And that is it.
Thank you for that information. Appreciate it. I'm curious, as we think about the literacy in math and even the graduation goals where we have these on track, these ninth grade, these new staff folks. How are we empowering and developing our teachers in the professional development? How are we empowering them to disaggregate, analyze data, to inform minute by minute decisions? That's a high leverage strategy for me, right? Making sure that teachers have that ability to disaggregate and analyze data to then put in corrective action to really support their young people. So I'm hoping that will be elevated some way in professional learning or development. I'm interested in that. I'm also interested in discovering how we're leveraging asynchronous learning opportunities for professional development, right? Because I heard you all mention a differentiated approach based on need. So as we're in the digital age, right, in offices centrally that are small, right, how are we really supporting to scale professional learning opportunities for our staff members that don't require human resource and teams to do some of that work? And it's more, and teachers actually want some of that. We know that it is effective though to be in person, to engage with others and to collaborate. But I'm also just interested in how we're doing that to really support our goals and to really make sure that our students are provided with the supports that they need in real time. So we're not waiting for those benchmarks or those, assessments to say, hey, this was a mess, right? So let's go back and fix it versus making those minute by minute decisions. And the folks that really should be leading that work are our teachers. So we have to make sure they're fortified with the skills in order to do that. So I'm curious just to know that as we move forward. Commissioner Slater-Harrington.
On the edge of my seat, didn't you? And I'm glad that you brought that up. I recall talking about that in committee, and so I look forward to hearing more about those opportunities. One, to right on the spot get those short cycle assessments, and to have our teachers equipped to quickly get that data and use it. So thank you, Chair, for bringing that up. Some of these are comments and some of them are questions. For the sake of time, feel free to respond offline. One, I'm going to continue to beat the drum of, I love these slides on how we take action, how parents are partners, how community. I also want to continue to give emphasis to the fact that we have partners, after school partners in our buildings every day. I love seeing the intensive daytime tutoring. We need to figure out how to bring our partners, our after school partners along with us, who are spending critical hours with our kids every day. And sometimes using curriculum that is aligned, maybe if they have a good relationship with the instructional leader, and other times not. So we have to figure out how they can help us meet our goals. And one of the things when you talked about persistence in high school, making sure we get kids through ninth grade, really came up for me on a school visit recently. It was around Algebra 1. And making sure that both in middle school, the introduction and the availability of it. And given the challenge we have around, there's no abundance of teachers, making sure that we're creative in the ways that we're approaching that challenge. That is a gateway. Like if we don't get Algebra 1, right? Like there's no persistence. Like that is a deterrent. And so I'm interested in the future in hearing about how we're helping our students along with that.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, may I? For me, it is not just the access to Algebra 1. It is, can they engage, right, successfully in the course? So I just wanted to add that because it's something that we all reference, right? Making sure that Algebra 1, our young people are taking it. But for us, I think it is more than just their access and taking it and making sure that we have the teachers with the secondary math knowledge to teach it. But are they actually able to compete when they're in the course to really set them up for the future? Because it's one thing to take it and then fail it, right? But it's another thing to be prepared to engage. So access is one thing, but the readiness is something I wanted to let.
I think it's that third question is what are you learning it? Or the second or third question, why are you learning it? Making the math contextual helps with the engagement. And I see you, Commissioner Bay. I'm not going to try to hog the mic, but just wanted to make sure that I get a couple of more points out. One, you know, we heard previously in the previous meeting around the adoption of pre-K curriculum. And I just want
Excuse me, court reporters lost all audio.
sorry, court reporter.
There, you should be fine now.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're flagging that, and I'm saying this in the public arena so that if parents are watching and they're not aware that there's challenge, that's going to be a big hump for our graduating seniors. They will be most impacted. So just making sure that we're mindful and prepared as a district to support our graduating seniors.
So I'm glad you brought that up, and very quickly, I know it's late. We've been concerned. I can tell you that we're actually ahead in terms of what's been completed now at this point in the year than we were last year. So our students and our families, through the assistance of our school staff, are getting it done. What we can't control is what's happening on the government side. But our focus has been on, we have to do our part. We've got to support students and we got to support their families in not just starting it, because you can start the application, but then you actually have to complete the application. And we have more, our completion rate is higher at this point, at this point in the year, this year than it was last year. So we are monitoring those numbers closely because we know how it's impacting our seniors.
Yeah, I think the other piece is, having been in some of the national discussions, the colleges are scrambling too. Like it's, I mean, I guess I shouldn't go on record as saying this. I'm glad Liz Bowie left, but like it's a debacle. And so part of what is happening now is the scrambling at the college level. So part of my hope and part of why Christina and I were looking at each other, because I was literally on a flight and texted after being briefed and went, are you kidding me? Like, this is gonna, exactly what you just said. I think the other piece that we have as a protective layer is this post-secondary advising. And this is where it pays off, because what's happening also is that May 1st traditionally is the day that we've come to know kids making their decisions. And we know that there are some colleges that are putting that off. They're giving grace. They're giving other ways of determining aid. I think what's going to be key, and it still means it's a scramble, and so I'm glad that you brought it up, but it does mean that our advocacy from adults on this end to get the packages, to get the grace, to know when the extended deadlines are in place is going to be crucial. But it absolutely is a mess. But I think this is where
thank God we made the investments in these positions, and not just the positions, but the training and the disposition. We are in a much better place than had this happened 5 years ago. But yeah, it is a mess, and we can talk about higher ed apocalypse because it's actually our kids, but it's also colleges that might go under. I mean, to put it bluntly, because of the way that aid flows. The feds have said, they're working on it, they're working on extensions. You've got colleges going. I think the big thing is going to be if you are not a well-endowed, smaller college, you're going to be in financial trouble because of the way that this is flowing. But it's an absolute debacle, frankly. And I feel bad, and I'm really glad I'm not the Secretary of Ed right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Did you?
Yeah, just first of all, thank you. I mean, I was excited listening to you actually about all the things you're doing in this arena. A couple of questions that I just real quick, and you don't even have to answer them here. When you talk about your stakeholder circle, okay, for curriculum, right? But it's not only for curriculum, for application. And that's what gets me, because I did not hear business and industry as part of that stakeholder circle, because I do believe that's a lot, the actual implementation of all this math knowledge is going to pour into wherever business and industry they wind up going into. This is why you have that CTE push in there. Thank you for the grade 9. That transition, a lot of people are not aware of that mental, psychological transition as you enter grade 9, and all of a sudden you think you're grown. But no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. But yeah, no, I've done it, and I've been for years, and all of a sudden you have to step back and go, oh, wow, I really didn't know that. And I went through it myself, and thank you for the portrait of a graduate. But portrait of a graduate, a lot of times we focus, and it's college, it's going to this school, sometimes it's work, sometimes it's survival. See, the most important thing about math, whether you're going into music, whether you're going into carpentry, whether you're going into, brain surgery, whatever it is the logic and the thought process that you can apply. And I want to see, I just like to see more of the application aspect. How do you apply? Because we get real theoretical with it.
And so very quickly, I will say about Portrait of a Graduate is it's focused on skills and competencies that you combine with deep content knowledge. So when we bring it forward, you won't see things around like mathematical knowledge. You're actually going to see what are those skills and competencies that you need when you graduate high school to be successful anywhere.
Thank you. So one thing that the board has been discussing, it's okay, we're getting ready to go. One thing that the board has been discussing is, yes, we want to hear, right, things that are working, right, things that are going well, but what are also some of our challenges, right, that will then inform how we monitor and support the monitoring of improvement as a district, but also what implications then, tie themselves to, budget and resource and policy implications. So I think that's important as we're making these presentations to, yes, provide the update on where we are, but then what are some of our challenges? What are the areas to improve? And what are data points around those things as well, and a plan for corrective action. I think that's helpful for the board to hear as I think that this board wants to learn and be engaged in the learning process, but we have some pretty rigorous goals and we want to exceed them. Thank you.
May I add just a couple things as the chair of strategic planning, just from my lens? So, where we have an opportunity as a board, as I want to kind of lift up two things. So like one, as Commissioner Roberts or Vice Chair Roberts has reminded us, is that we've come a long way as a board to really establish goals. Like taking that first leap is a big thing. Like it puts that spotlight on what's important for us as a board. I think hearing Chair McFadden talk here too, it's that opportunity to progress monitor. What does that look like? And so that's some of our work that we need to do as governors in conjunction with staff to understand a couple things. So one, these strategies, like how well they are actually improving or working towards those goals. Secondarily, there is that resource, that budget out opportunity to really understand a little bit more about how these investments overarchingly, like the dollar amounts and throughputs to the goals, how are they aligned? And then on the back end, what understanding, helping us understand more and more about these different things that give us the confidence indicators of how close we are to the goal and how far apart we are. And so this is only going to be an effort that succeeds the more we take the opportunity here on the board and our governance role to understand more about the goals, understand more about progress monitoring, creating time within our board meetings, as well as in our exec sessions to talk about our progress, involving and engaging our entire community in that is what will help us succeed and move the needle for our students. So thank you. We did meet as a strategic planning committee this past Friday. We do have some recommendations that will be forthcoming to the board around a number of things in terms of our strengthening and opportunities to do this work better. So we invite our board colleagues as well as city school staff to help us in this endeavor. So thank you. And our public too. Our public is the one who helps us understand our values and what we really want for our students here each and every day.
Any questions or thoughts for Commissioner Sally? Thank you. Thank you to everyone tonight. I'm not sure what, Thank you. Teaching and Learning Committee will meet on Tuesday, March 5th, 3:30. That will be a virtual meeting. Our student board forum is Wednesday, March 6th. I'm here in this room at 4 o'clock to 6:30 p.m. The board will meet next in exec session on March 12th. There will be a public meeting that same day at 5:30. The Operations Committee meets next on March 19th at 10:30. Policy Committee meets that same day at 4 o'clock p.m. Safety and Wholeness Committee will meet virtually on Thursday, March 21st. And the Teaching and that's it. Thank you. That is it for the month of March. And then the last week in March is a well looked for spring break. Is there a motion to adjourn? Isn't there other boards still meeting right now? Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Lawson. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 9:20. Have a good evening, everyone. What meeting should be?
I'd rather go long.
So tomorrow. What?
That I am so glad.
It's fine. So for tomorrow, well, it's not fine, but for tomorrow, because we just talked.